I hope you guys like the ASMR coming from my microphone. Yeah, but anyways, welcome everyone. We'll be starting in like 5 minutes. Sadly, there's some construction going on our roof today. There's really nothing I could do about the date that was happening. So you might hear a little bit of noise in the background. Hopefully my voice drowns it out considerably. You might hear a little bit of banging, a little bit of some other noise that sounds like wind. I don't know when they're leaving, but hopefully it won't be too annoying. So just please bear with me. But yeah, we'll be starting in 5 minutes. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the first lecture. So I'm just going to preface this by saying a few things. So if you've only just joined 5 minutes ago, I said there might be a little bit of background noise on my end. I don't know when it will end, but it's due to some construction that's going on outside. So hopefully my voice drowns it out. So a couple of other things to say. So anything you guys need to let me or any of the other teachers know during the lecture needs to be typed in the voice chat text channel. Please refrain from going off topic from now on. I know everyone's been talking about just random stuff up until now, but please try to keep it on topic. And any questions you have during the lecture should also go in this channel. They should not go in the questions channel. The questions channel is reserved for outside of the lecture. So just ask any other questions you have in here. Most of the time, Little Cat and Sir Tubby Cheesy Fish are going to answer the questions for you. But if it's something I have to answer, then they're going to ping me about it. A few other things. If you're here right now, then hopefully you've been listening to the announcements and you've set up all that you can set up in Downloads setup channel. And hopefully you filled out the form at the bottom. Right now, one of our moderators, Nat, is still going to hand out some student roles to people who are missing them. But just don't worry if you don't have the student role yet and you think you should have it. But just make sure you have that form filled out. If you didn't fill out that form prior, then please do it now. Another thing, during the first part of the lecture, I'm going to be reading mainly off a script because my style is sort of, I want to make sure I write everything down that I don't want to forget. But like halfway through or a little bit earlier, I'm going to go off script and I just have just a bunch of slides that I'm just going to speak from my own experience. But yeah, during the first, 30 minutes, I don't know how long it's going to take. It's just going to be scripted for the most part. Okay, so let me bring up that script right now. All right, so welcome everyone to the first lecture of the course. I hope you're having a great Saturday evening. Today we have a lot in store because it's our first lecture, so we're going to jump right into things. So just a reminder, you should be typing in the voice chat channel only. And the plan for today is for me to start by going over the structure of the course. Later on, we're going to set everyone up with some of the programs and accounts they've downloaded earlier in the week. And we're going to start learning a little bit about the game, but not too much. So I want to make sure that we ease into the subject and the terminology for those with absolutely no prior programming experience. I know lots of people here actually work for other Toontown servers or have prior experience working in the Toontown source, and that's great. You're going to feel like some of the stuff we're starting out with is very simple, and that's fine. If you feel it's too simple to you, and don't be afraid to just leave, or just leave and skim through the video when it's uploaded a couple days after the lecture to see if you missed anything. But for the first couple weeks, we're going to be getting everyone caught up to speed, and hopefully from there, people who already have prior experience can just follow along. So, all right. And then finally, I'm going to go over this week's assignment, and I'm going to provide a live demo of completing it. So, does anyone have any questions about anything I've just said? Or are we good to go? All right, it looks like the consensus is good, so I'm going to move on. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce all of the teachers we have on the team. So first off is Little Cat. Now, Little Cat is a great developer and a friend of mine. He's worked on Toontown Infinite before, and he actively works on Toontown Offline as the lead developer, and Corporate Class is just a developer. He also won the 2019 Toonie Awards at Toontown Rewritten's Toonfest in real life this year. The second teacher is Sir Tubby Cheesy Fish. Now, he's worked on his own passion project called Town, and he actively works on Corporate Clash as the lead developer. And the third is a student teacher, which means he probably won't be around as much, but he still will be helping out, is Mr. Dr. Professor Wu. And he's previously worked on a project known as Gear Grind, and he actively works as a developer on Tooniversal Studios and Toontown Offline. Now, as for myself, my name is Benjamin, also known as Rocky Reborn. I actively work on both Toontown Offline and Operation Desert Storm, and I'm going to be doing the majority of the vocal side of the lectures during the course. This is my first time doing something like this, so I ask that you please bear with me because I'll probably be a bit rough around the edges. Sometimes I may forget things or get too far ahead of myself, so just feel free to pull me down back to earth if I escape reality every once in a while. I don't expect today's lecture to run for the whole 3 hours until 9 o'clock, but the time should help us out. The extra time should help us out. If there are any bumps in the road, and there probably will be, because most likely I've forgotten to include something that I probably should have included in the presentation I'm going to show, but that's fine. That's fine. I also want to make note that swearing is allowed in this server. Just, don't swear in excess. And most likely, I'm going to be doing a lot of swearing myself, sometimes in these lectures, so that's just a warning to those who are uncomfortable with it. Also, while I do feel we're pretty lax with our rules, I want to make clear that screwing around, especially during lectures, will lead to a kick and a ban from the server. If you want to talk about something off-topic while the lecture's going on, just do it in the off-topic channel or just DM whoever you want to talk to. Just leave it out of the voice chat text channel and we'll be fine. Are there any questions of that, or am I good to move on? All right, excellent. All right, so the way these lectures are going to be structured is pretty simple. So right now, you'll notice everyone's muted except the teachers in the voice chat. Well, some of the teachers may be muted, but that's on their own volition, but they're not forced to be muted like you guys are. Anyways, so most of the time, I'm going to be the one speaking out loud, and all you have to do is listen in. But unfortunately, this is not real life, so it can be pretty difficult to gauge when it's the right time to speak. It's not like you can just raise your hand and I can pick on you like in an actual classroom. That's why we have the voice chat text channel. So if you have a question or a comment during the lecture, you can put it in this channel. If you want to speak up about something using your microphone, you can get my attention and I'll unmute you so you can say something. But most of the time, I recommend you just leave your comments in text, since it's honestly just faster to unmute the person who wants to say something. It's faster than having to unmute the person who wants to say something, have them speak and mute them again. But whichever method you think is best at communicating the question you have is the one you should use. So don't feel uncomfortable with either. Most of the time, our other teachers, Little Cat, Sir Tubby Cheesy Fish, and Dr. Professor Wu will answer your questions instead of myself, as to not disrupt the flow of class. All right, so during each lecture, I'm going to be showing something visually using the Discord screen share feature. So right now, you can only go live with games in public voice channel like these, but there's been kind of a loophole for this for a while now. So at the top of the voice chat text channel, you should see a. So I want you to go and click that link. So as long as you are on a desktop Discord app, you're not on web and you're not on mobile, it should work. Now, it'll bring up Discord's video call interface. And right now, you may not actually see anything because I'm not sharing my screen, but I'm about to do just that. So let me go share screen, application. All right, so if everything works out fine, oops, not that one. That's my Firefox. I want to share my Chrome. There we go. You just saw a lot of my notes there. Yeah. This is the slideshow. So if you're having trouble entering share screens, let us know right now. I'll just give everyone a minute to make sure that works. Again, in order to see the screen share, you have to not be on Discord for mobile. You have to be on Discord for desktop. And you cannot be in the web client. All you have to do is head to the voice chat text channel. Look at the top. You'll see a link. You'll see it says screen share dash and then a link. You want to click that link, and then you should see my screen. So I'll just give everyone a minute to do that. In the future, though, from what I've seen, Discord is slowly expanding how they use the Go Live feature. So I think in the future, we'll be able to just do this by Go Live instead of like just being limited to games. But right now, we're just using this workaround method. Don't worry about having any programs open right now. We're going to go over that later. So if there's unless there's anyone who's having major issues, I'm going to move on. Just make it known now if you have any trouble. No, you cannot type and look at the screen sharing at the same time. In order to get out of looking at it, you have to go back and scroll up the channel list and click the voice chat channel, and then it'll bring you back to the text chat. So you do have to alternate between the two. Or you can do what Dark Happy did. All right, so I think most people have it working. If you have issues, just ping Little Cat or Sir Tuffy Cheesy Fish or even Nat about it. Yes, I am recording this. So yeah, if you have any issues, just ask someone else because I am going to move on. Okay, let me just go here. Okay. So during each lecture, I'm going to be showing something visually, blah, blah, blah. I'm just looking through my notes here. Okay, so if you're unable to view my screen because you're currently on mobile or web, you don't have to worry too much about it for this lecture. You can always go and look at the video recording of the lecture a few days from now. However, I do recommend you try to get this issue ironed out before next week so you can see exactly what's going on my screen. So if you take a look at my screen, you'll see that I have a slideshow up. This is more so for me than it is for you, since it'll help me remember exactly what I want to cover during the lectures. So often during our lectures, I'll switch between the slideshow and the program we'll be coding in known as Pycharm, and also the game itself. So don't worry about watching my screen at all times. I'll let you know when it's important to watch. So you don't have to watch right now. If you don't want to, you can just go ahead back to the text chat and you'll be perfectly fine. Now, if for some reason Discord is having a lot of issues, I'll switch over to streaming my screen. Excuse me. I'll switch over to streaming my screen on Discord instead. No, Twitch instead. Try saying that 3 times fast. There'll be some delay from when you hear me talk and when you see the screen, but it shouldn't be too bad. And from what I'm hearing right now, hopefully my screen quality is sort of good. But if it gets really bad to the point where it's like, no one can distinguish what's going on, I will switch to Twitch if necessary. But it seems like we won't have to do that today, which is pretty good. All right. So over the course of the lecture, I'm going to go over what I want to talk about on the slideshow, and we're going to have a quick review of what we covered last week, and then we're going to have I'm going to go over what I want to talk about. Then we're going to have a quick review of what's upcoming for the next week, and then the floor will be open for any questions anyone might have. But speaking of questions, I want to make one thing crystal clear. I want you guys to ask questions. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. Throughout all the classes I've had in high school and in college, I've never really been one to ask questions myself. Is it because I already knew the material? No, of course not. It's because I was either too shy to ask, or I felt like I was being annoying if I asked a dumb question, or one that's already been asked several times. I just feel stupid. Like, why am I asking this? I don't want to annoy anyone. But don't worry about that. Sometimes we just forget, we don't hear properly, or it can just take 20 times for something to be told to us before we eventually remember it. And that's honestly perfectly fine. You need to ask us questions if you forget something. Even if someone else has already asked the same thing 5 times in the past 20 minutes, ask it anyway, because this is the absolute best way you'll be able to retain information. You can ask questions during the lecture, like mentioned before, or anytime in the questions channel after the lecture. Feel free to personally message me or any of the other teachers if you aren't quite sure about something outside of the lectures, we're always here to help. Don't feel like you're pestering us at all. We are very happy to answer any questions you may have. Okay, so as for our assignments, once the main lecture is done, I will introduce the assignment for the following week. I will then perform a live demo of me completing the assignment in full. So there is pretty much no way you're going to be confused about what it is we're asking you to do, because I'm going to do it right in front of you, and you'll be asked to do something similar. So typically assignments won't be one specific thing. They'll be very open and creative for you to decide what type of thing you want to do. You'll be able to choose the subject matter that your assignment's on. So most of the time, everyone is going to end up doing something completely different, but it is fine if you do overlap with some people. So don't worry about that. So after I make next week's assignment clear, and after I do the demo, everyone in the voice chat will be unmuted, and we're going to have a critique of the prior week's assignment. So the critique will vary depending on the nature of the assignment, but most of the time I'm going to show off everyone's work on my own screen, or everyone can hop into the same server and check it out for themselves. So after that, the lecture for the week will conclude whether we finish early or not. I'll generally stick around in the voice chat for up to an hour afterwards to help anyone with any questions they might have. Ooh, I should be here. Okay, so speaking of any questions, are there any questions regarding the assignments or the structure of the lectures? Are there due dates? Yes, I didn't mention it right now, but I'll just make clear right here. Assignments are due 8 days after they assigned. Of course, this isn't a real class. Come on. We can't give you any punishment for turning in a late assignment. The whole purpose of assignments are for you to improve. So assignments will be reviewed by myself and the other teachers. And if you just submit it late, then we'll simply review it a week late. It's just on you what you want to do. If you keep submitting late assignments, you're just going to get late reviews, and you're not going to get like a clear idea of how good you're doing. But that's on you. We don't really care and enforce it that much. But yeah, there will be technical due dates of assignments. They won't necessarily be graded in the usual sense. They will be reviewed. And we will provide notes on what's good, what's bad. We won't necessarily give you like an A, a B, C, D, F. This isn't like an actual graded course where grades matter. You'll just be getting a review. The bystanders, they can do assignments if they so please. We're not going to review them. We're not going to review any assignments submitted by bystanders, because bystanders cannot even submit assignments in the first place, because we're going to go over later how you're going to submit your assignments. And I'm not going to answer if there's going to be a final or not yet. I'm not too sure, honestly. I guess we're going to see as the course goes on. And as for Kahoots, we could have Kahoots, maybe, not now, but maybe in the future. All right, are there any other questions? Nope, there will be no quizzes or tests for the foreseeable future. Just like finals, maybe like we can add a few, but I don't really see that much reason for it, because they'll just do the same thing as assignments pretty much. Comrade, what do you mean by are the directions strict? Well, yeah, I'm waiting on Comrade to respond. I mean, it's generally recommended to follow our instructions, but you're free to venture out and do things your own way if you want. For example, you don't have to use Pycharm. We're going to be using Pycharm, and we're going to be teaching newbies how to use Pycharm. But if you know a different IDE, such as Atom, Visual Studio, we don't care. We're only using Pycharm to make sure everyone who's new to the subject is on the same page. But you don't really have to do everything in the same way. If there's some holy program out there that is not Maya and not Blender, and you can make Toontown models in it, go right ahead. I don't know what that program would be, but you don't have to stick with any of the programs we're advising. If you're new to the subject, we do advise you use what we're telling you to use, though.
And if you find that program, do let me know, though.
Yeah, because I don't know of any other program that's like you could use in conjunction with Maya or Blender. That'd be a miracle, honestly. All right, so I think those are all the questions. The chat is not being recorded, but the presentation is. That's a good point. I should probably reiterate questions when I answer them. I'll just keep that in mind for the future. Anyways, I'm going to move on here. Okay, so what are the goals of the course? So let me just take a sip of water really quickly. All right, so the goals of this course are to train you how to be proficient in developing for Toontown. That's not to say really that you won't learn real world skills from this. You will learn plenty of real world skills. You will learn programming concepts. You will learn the basics of some 3D modeling software. This will help you outside of Toontown. But while this course is generally about becoming good at programming for the game, it will include a few other things like I just mentioned. Toontown developers should know how to get around using other tools like Photoshop and Maya. But don't get confused. This is not a creative course. This course and your assignments are not here to improve your creative ability. The goal is to create functional content. I'm getting a lot of pings. The goal is to create functional content. So I consider myself a somewhat creative person, so I reckon my biases will find their way into the lectures. I probably will give advice based on creative decisions, but you shouldn't be concerned with that. You should be concerned with how well you can pull off the technical side of Toontown development. And if you can pull off the creative side, that's honestly just a bonus.
Ben, your screen share died.
Did it? Oh, okay. Let me reshare. Is that good? I mean, like I said, my screen right now isn't that important. But yeah, do let me know if it goes out again.
I am stuck in a loading loop.
Let me try again. All right, how about now?
Still loading loop.
Yeah, it's stuck on loading.
That's a bit weird. One of you, not all of you, because God, everyone leaving would be crazy. Why don't you just leave the call, join back, and see if it works? Okay. Did any of the 69 people who just did that manage to get it to work now?
Yeah, it's back now. Actually,
it works now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's working
okay,
for me.
If you can't see my screen, rejoin the call and see if it works. Okay, great. If we have more trouble, I'm not going to have everyone keep doing it, and I will start to stream on Twitch. Hopefully it keeps up for now. Discord screen share feature can be great. It can also be extremely annoying. So again, if you can't see it, just, spam ping me, because when I'm reading stuff that I've already written about the lecture, because like I said, I'm reading off of a script right now, I'm not looking at the Discord chat. So the only indication I have that something important is going on is the amount of pings that I have. So just if something's going wrong with the screen, then spam ping me and I'll notice. But don't spam ping me if nothing emergency related is happening. All right, so I am going to continue now that everyone can see good. And of course, another way to get a hold of me like that is any of the teachers can just tell me that that's happening. But anyways, so yeah, the goals of this course are, to train you in being proficient for Toontown. They'll give you real world skills, and this is mainly programming orientated. Don't be concerned with any of your creative ability. But what do I mean like creative components? I mean things like creating an interface, a model, a texture, a cutscene. Now, most of the time during the course, we're going to be using existing assets to work with rather than creating your own. But there still will be a few creative components, like making a GUI or a cutscene. But all we care about is that you understand how they work and how to make them. We don't really care if they're good or not, as long as they work. So another thing I want to make clear is that this is not an independent Python or Panda 3D course. We're here to teach you about Toontown development, and that does encompass a lot of different things. Yes, it does include learning Python and Panda 3D, and you will learn those too, but it will also include a lot more. You're going to learn the ins and outs of Toontown's files, both the resources and the code alike. You're going to learn how the client and server communicate in an MMO type environment, and you're also going to learn the do's and don'ts of client-server security. A lot of what you will learn will be specific to just Toontown, and lots will also help you in the future outside of Toontown. This course should be a hybrid for both. Another thing I want to mention is while the teachers do know a considerable amount on Toontown, on Panda 3D, on Python, we aren't experts. Most of the teachers are either 19, 20, 21 years old, around that age. We aren't complete experts on this stuff. There's many things we don't know. And along the way, we also may get stuck with an issue you have, or we may get stuck with our own issues. And that's fine. Because if there's times like that, that's okay. Those situations we can all learn from, and we can all benefit from the situations. All right, so the next slide, print hello world. So a lot of this may seem pretty daunting to you. There's no need to worry though. Learning Python, Panda 3D, new software, new file directories, and much more, it may seem like a monumental task at first, but it's actually really not. See, in my opinion, there's this one thing that makes this course stand out entirely from your average Python tutorial video, and that's we're learning about Toontown, a game that is bringing us all together here right now in this voice call. A game that some of us here have played for 2 years, some of us for 2 decades. We are all here because of Toontown, and we find Toontown to be fun, we find it to be charming, and whatever big list of adjectives you can think of. Toontown itself is a great tool for learning. To those not quite aware, typically in a programming course, the first exercise you'll be asked to do is print hello world to the console. Now, if you think about it for a minute, is that even that interesting to do? Not really. But you know what is interesting? Spawning a new NPC toon in BossFit HQ and making a small cutscene where it walks around and says some phrases. I mean, yeah, okay, it's small, it's meaningless, but it's easy to do. And as Toontown players with little prior programming experience, it's really motivating to see that. To see an NPC in a place that you want, saying what you want it to say. Yeah, okay, it's probably meaningless and useless to everyone else, but you'll find it cool. And that'll serve as a severe stepping stone to something more. Today, you may add a new NPC to BossFit HQ, but tomorrow that NPC will be a new species you add and a brand new zone you're adding too. Printing hello world means nothing to us, but making stuff in Toontown has over a decade of nostalgia and meaning behind it. That's why I think that this game is a very powerful learning tool to get into game design. Starting out small and getting bigger and bigger and bigger is what got me into developing Toontown, and I think it's going to serve as motivation for you all as well. Okay, my Discord is bugging out. It showed a black screen. I was scared no one could hear me. All right, so now we're going to talk about GitHub. So let me just take a drink really quickly. Okay. So, hopefully, if you're attending right now, you've successfully filled out the form in the downloads setup channel. Oh, the screen share stuck.
Yep.
Ah, shit. All right, let me. You know, I might just switch to Twitch because Discord's pretty unreliable. I'm just gonna try it one more time.
Loading.
Yeah, because if we have to do this every like 5 or 10 minutes, it's not going to be feasible, honestly.
Yeah, it's stuck
Okay.
loading.
Well, in that case, if you guys would just give me a couple minutes while I quickly set this up on my Twitch channel, we can just watch it on there. It'll have a slight delay. It won't matter much because, as you've seen so far, I have each slide up for like ages, so it's not going to matter. You're going to see what's going on as I talk about it. Let me just go to my stream real quick and set this up. Okay. I'm just changing the title and description of my stream. Okay. Done. All right. I'm going to start streaming in a second here. When you do start watching my stream, I heavily recommend that you you mute the volume, because I will be streaming and recording at the same time, so I'm not going to mute my audio or else it would not be in the recording. So make sure that you do mute the audio when I give out the link. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording this and start streaming it. And start recording again. And let me see if this works. Great, it's working. So here is the link. I'm going to pin it just so it doesn't get lost in the chat. Everyone go there in order to see my screen because Discord's acting up quite a bit right now. Thanks. It was made by Ali Jean or Isabel. So yeah, so hopefully there won't be any issues with Twitch. And again, you should definitely mute the audio on Twitch. Like, definitely. Or else you're just going to hear me twice. So I'm just going to give everyone a minute to go there. Actually, while everyone goes there, I am quickly going to get a new drink. So I will be right back. All right. I am back.
Is there any way to get some other video quality options? Some people are running on metered connections, so They can't really do any.
I am not too sure. Let me have a look in Twitch's settings. It is annoying how you can only do source or auto. Let me go in my settings. Oh, and it has the option to manually lower it. I need to be an affiliate. Okay. Well, I mean, if you're having issues, if your whole computer is lagging because of it, I don't know exactly what to tell you. But if it's lagging in general, I wouldn't worry about it too much because, like I said, I'm going to be on the same tab for a while. I guess what I.
In addition, all of this plus both chats are being recorded, so if you have to leave or if something messes up, don't worry. You'll be able to get the video and you can resume where you missed.
Yeah. And during some of the following slides, we're going to be going over how to set up some of the programs we're using. I could just copy and paste those images into the voice chat channel as we go along, just so people aren't left behind. Yes, comrade, what was your question? Like I've said a few times, we're going to have it uploaded within 2 days of right now. So it'll be uploaded within 48 hours of it ending. All right, so yeah, I am going to be focusing on the Discord chat. I will not be reading the Twitch chat at all. I will only be looking at the Discord chat. All right, but I think I'm gonna move on now. Hopefully, most people can view the slides right now. But if not, like I said, it's not the most important because I should be able to describe everything pretty well, I hope. Do you know how I do that, little cat? Let me see. I'm looking at the chat settings really quickly. Okay. Moderate. Yeah, I don't know how to turn off a chat. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to be focusing on the Twitch chat anyway. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to move on with the remaining slides now. All right, so if you're in the voice chat right now, then you should have already signed up for GitHub, and you should have submitted your GitHub username to me at the form at the bottom of the download setup channel. Now, if you haven't done this, I recommend you do it right now. So hopefully we've added you as a contributor already to the repository we'll be using. So if you have not yet accepted the invite link to become a contributor, I'm going to paste that in the chat now, and I'm going to pin it so it doesn't get lost. So if you have not yet accepted the invitation to join as a contributor, please click the link I just sent, and it will set you as a contributor on the repository. So right now I still see like 10 people who are awaiting to be contributors in the repository. Little CJ, just submit a new form in right now, and I can add you immediately. Darth, I can explain later what we're going to be doing. It can be abused. They will be removed and they will be banned if it is abused. So I'm not too worried about it. All right, let me just refresh this a few times, and refresh the forum. I'm gonna add this person as contributor. Pious Fantastic is now added. I'm just gonna give everyone just a minute to accept it. I see a few more people have accepted it. There's only like 3, 6, 9 people who haven't accepted the contributor access right now. This is required for continuing on, by the way. Okay, so I think I'm going to move on now. So GitHub. All right, so I'm now going to start discussing the things you signed up for and the programs you've downloaded. And the first thing on the list is GitHub. So what is GitHub? Well, to put it simply, it's the platform we're going to be using in order to share files with one another. So instead of making changes to code and then uploading them to a platform like Google Drive or Dropbox, developers use platforms like GitHub to not only keep their files in sync with each other, but to manage versions of the software they're working on. So think of it this way. You're actively developing a game with several other people. Wouldn't it be annoying if every time you updated the game, you made a little change, if you had to upload it and then hand it out to every single team member? Yeah, okay, that would definitely be annoying and it would waste a lot of time. So with GitHub, what you can do is something called committing your changes to the repository. So then once you commit and sync up, anyone else who pulls data and syncs up with that repository will automatically receive the changes that you've made. It's a very easy and simple way of making sure every developer is working with the same files. It's always best to commit and sync your changes whenever you're done with them, so that way they're backed up to another server. So say your hard disk fails, at least you have it somewhere else, and most likely your coworkers will probably also have it because they synced up to the repository. So while some of this doesn't apply to us because we're not making a game, it's still important to note that communication when working on GitHub is key. So imagine this scenario. Say you and a coworker both decide you're going to work on the same feature, but you don't tell each other that you're working on that feature. This can spell a lot of trouble for the project, so it's always best to make sure your team is on the same page in terms of what you're working on, or you might commit something and your coworker is working on the exact same file at the same time you are, and they go to commit their work, and they're like, oh shit, why am I having issues here? Oh, it's because my coworker was already working on this and they didn't tell me. So it's generally best to make sure you communicate well with the team. So another benefit of GitHub is called version control. Well, what is version control? Well, let me put it this way. So in 2003, after Toontown released, it got quite a lot of updates in the first year. It got fishing, it got the catalog, and most importantly, Cellbot HQ. So that's quite a lot of features. But obviously, these weren't all released at the same time. They were spread out months apart from each other. But it's likely that all 3 of them were being developed at the same exact time. So how do you develop 3 things simultaneously, but then release them individually? Wouldn't files from one update seep their way into another? So that's where version control comes in. What platforms like GitHub do is separate the code and the assets into something called branches. Now, typically, each branch in a GitHub repository is a live copy of the game, or it's working from a live copy of the game, but it can work from whatever copy you want it to. And it generally has a new feature being worked on each individual branch. So separating the features you're working on using branches is how game developers who update their live games manage to work on both small and large patches, both at the same time. So if you don't branch out your work properly, it would mean the developer has to manually delete unnecessary files for upcoming but unfinished content. Like, imagine the phishing update came out in 2003, and then you go data mine the files. If the developers of Toontown had bad branch management, which I don't know if they did or didn't back then, but if they did, you'd probably be able to find Cellbot HQ files in the phishing update. And the phishing update came before Cellbot HQ. So that is why version control is very important. Not only so, files from your future updates don't leak into previous updates, but it generally helps keep things organized. So some developers manage their branches very poorly, And this is why for some MMOs, you can find loads of unreleased content in the game files. Now, for us consumers, it can turn out quite favorably. For example, if it wasn't for poor branch management in Toontown, we never would have been able to get our hands on the Lawbot field office assets and much more. So remember, kids, always maintain good version control. It is good for the consumer, but not good for the developer. So for our purposes, we won't have to worry about maintaining right now on our course repository. A link is currently in the voice chat channel that Lily posted. If you click there, you'll see that we have a source code uploaded that we'll be working with, and it's uploaded onto our master branch. And this is the base that everyone will be starting out with. So the teachers, we really don't plan to update it much unless there's a big game-breaking bug we need to fix. This source code is based off of a March 2019 copy of Toontown Offline. And this was shortly before we began moving over custom features to our new source. So what we've gone ahead and done is strip most of the unique features to Toontown Offline, minus the magic word system. So to those of you who don't know what magic words are, they're in-game commands that you type in the chat in order to make something happen. Magic words can set the amount of laugh points you have, it can give you infinite gags, it can max out your cog suits, it can max out your tune completely, and it can do much more. So I was the primary developer of the new system, so I decided to bring over that code from the most recent version of Toontown Offline and just stick it into the source code we're going to be working with. Magic words are essential for allowing anyone to get around the game with ease. Imagine you were changing something related to the VP. You wouldn't just make a new tune, train your gags up, get to Daisy Gardens, and get your Cellbot suit. That's absolutely ridiculous. Magic words will help you get to where you need to go. It'll max your tune for you, max your suits, max your gags. It pretty much just helps you with everything that you need. We also have a page in your sticker book that has a list of all the magic words in the game in case you need to reference it. But honestly, don't worry about memorizing all of them. Again, they're in your sticker book. Sometimes the descriptions can be a little bit vague, so feel free to ask any questions you may have regarding them. But today, we're going to be setting everyone up with the source code so it can run on your computer. So after that, everyone's going to make their own branch under their own name. This will be your own personal branch on a repository that you can use to work on assignments. So with this system, the teachers will easily be able to check your own work and you'll be able to show it off to others for critique. Let me just take a sip of water. Okay, so why don't we get started on setting up GitHub? Note that the following does not apply to Linux, only Windows users. If you're running on a Linux-based operating system, you need to go and see our teacher sometime within the next week, and he will help you get set up with all of your software. The stuff I'm going to be teaching you right now is only for Windows, and we will be providing any Mac support. Okay, yes, we are still on the GitHub slide, so don't worry about it being frozen. Are there any other questions before I move on? Yes. What is the question? There'll be no group assignments during the class. There'll be no group assignments. You can put whatever you want in the assignments as long as they don't break the rules of this Discord server. Okay, so you will create your own branch, and I will show you how to do that later. So let me just check the form there's 2 more people that I need to add as contributors. So I'm going to just do that really quickly. Okay. Let me add this person. Let me refresh and see. All right. So again, I've added everyone who has sent in their GitHub username as a contributor. So you need to go ahead, if you have not already, and click that link while you're signed into GitHub to make sure you accept your contributor invitation. How do you know if you're in? It'll probably just redirect you to the main page. I'm not sure. Maybe someone else can tell me, like Little Cat or Tubby. I'm not sure what it'll exactly say if you've already done it and you try to click it. But you have to be signed in when you click it.
If you try to click on it when you're already in the repository, it'll just redirect you to the master branch.
All right, great. That's what I thought it'd do. Oh, SCSG. Oh, okay. I will go and add you right now. All right, I've added you so you can go and click that link to receive contributor status. Excellent. All right, so we are going to move on. So has everyone here downloaded the GitHub desktop app for Windows? If you haven't already, the link to that can be found in the downloads setup channel of the Discord. So what I want everyone to do right now is go ahead and open it up. And it should look, well, it won't look exactly like this, but it'll look something like this. I forgot what it looks like if you don't have any repositories cloned. But just make sure you open it up right now, and I'll just give everyone a minute to go ahead and do that. Oh yes, if yours is in light mode, you should probably change that if you don't like light mode. I think you can just go to Options, Appearance, and go to Dark. You just have to open GitHub Desktop wherever you installed it at. I mean, for me, it's a Start menu shortcut. I just typed in GitHub. It was there. Oh, great. Thanks for showing me what it looks like. If you haven't set anything up yet, that'll be useful to look at. Okay, so I'm going to actually use that screenshot. Thank you for sending that, Captain Fireball. Okay, so I'm going to assume everyone has it open right now. So if it looks like this screenshot that Captain Fireball sent earlier, which I just posted again, I'll pin that. Then at the right, you'll see it says your repositories, and then it'll have Benjamin8693/Toontown Schoolhouse. So you can either, I believe, click that, and it might show you how to clone it, or if you have a file menu, which you can see right now in the slide, you can go to File and then Options. And then once you're in Options, oh yeah, this is just how to sign in. Yeah, this is how to sign in. So make sure you're signed into your GitHub account on the GitHub desktop app if you're not already. You just have to go to File, Sign In. And then when you're ready to clone the repository, you can go to File, Clone Repository, and then it'll look something like this. So the clone repository, you should have the Toontown Schoolhouse repository selected. And for where it says local path, just simply select where you want it to download your files to. It should automatically make a folder called Toontown Schoolhouse for you. So just select where you want that folder to be. And then finally, once you have the proper repository and the file path selected, just press the big blue button that says clone. And then it should begin cloning the source like this. So this might take quite a while, depending on your internet speed. But just everyone try to give me a general consensus as to when you're done with cloning the game. I think this is going to be around 650 megabytes because you're downloading both the resources and the code at the same time. When it's done, it should look something like what I have on screen right now. I'm actually probably gonna wait until 7 o'clock Eastern to move on because some people may have a slower speed. So that's like 4 minutes away. Even then, people may not have it downloaded in that time. Don't worry about that too much. You can always go back and watch the video about this. So why do I have the wiki page for the cold caller open? That's a good question. We'll be talking about that later when we give out the assignment. Yeah, we both have breaks like these. The only reason I'm really breaking now is because, it's going to take some people a little bit of time to download. We will sometimes have little 5-minute breaks, regardless of if something like this is happening, though. And I've been speaking like an hour straight, so I need to relax myself for 5 minutes. We will be talking about Panda 3D later on, so don't worry about that. Little Cat or Tubby, do you think you can help out Darth with that issue?
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Thanks. What am I eating? Sorry, I probably shouldn't be doing this while I'm have my mic on. I was just chewing ice. Gotta keep hydrated. I mean, the only reason why we have everyone muted for now is because, even if everyone isn't annoying, 35 people or whatever talking at once, it's pretty difficult. Pretty difficult. If we were in a real life classroom, yeah, we could deal with that. But in an environment like Discord, it would be pretty annoying. All right, so it's 7 Eastern. Is anyone still cloning the source code or having trouble with cloning the source code? Darth, are you logged in to GitHub properly?
Oh yeah, that's another thing that could cause it if you're not logged in to GitHub.
Yeah. It might take the full 3 hours. I don't know. I only expected to spend half an hour reading the first part. Took me almost an hour though. So since someone is still at 25%, I'm just gonna give it another 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna move on. They probably won't be done by then still, but it's not that big of a deal. I think it'll be fine as long as you pay attention to what you need to do. You should be able to catch up.
If you're logged into desktop, you could just try cloning it with the GitHub desktop instead of using git bash to try to.
You only really need the GitHub client installed. Don't worry about anything else.
Oh boy, I just fixed all these magic words that were broken.
Great. Don't push it yet.
Yep. I mean, some are still broken, granted, but
Yeah. Alright, that's enough posting dog videos. Start happy. Especially with that suggestive name of the little pup too. Does anyone else feel so bad for Popcorn? They don't have a clue of what's going on right now. While we wait a few more minutes, I'm going to post a picture of something. Have a picture of my cat while we wait for a few more minutes. It's very blurry, but it's still good.
Where's the cat? I just see a rug.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a picture of my rug. Yeah, Darth, the reason why I didn't want why I didn't direct anyone to do this beforehand is, I didn't want to have the possibility of a bunch of people coming to me with issues, so I'd rather just deal with any of the issues all at the same time. Let me see what the next slides are, just to remind myself. Okay. Well, I guess everyone can do this right now, so I'm gonna move on now. If you're not yet done cloning the game, don't worry too much. Feel free to ask me or any of the other teachers where we're currently at once you do finish cloning, and we'll get you caught up. Don't worry too much about it. So right now, your interface should look something like this. So in the top left, it'll say current repository, Toontown Schoolhouse. To the right of that, it says current branch master. And then to the right of that, it might just say fetch origin never fetched. It'll say something like that. All right. So what we want to do is click where it says current branch master. And it'll bring down a menu that looks like this. So what you do when this menu is open is you want to click on the new branch button right under where it says pull request. There's a button that says new branch. So when you click new branch, it'll bring up something that looks like this. So for the name of the branch, I want you to type in your GitHub username, nothing else. I want you to type in your GitHub username, and then when you're done, you need to press create branch. I will tell you to publish it in a second. I'll just do that now, actually. So once you've created your branch, it'll look something like this. And then you can click the publish branch button. There's actually two of them. You can click either one, the one next to current branch, or the big blue button right to the right middle of the screen. So right now, I see 14 branches are created. So we have like 36 people in here, plus myself and Tubby. So that'd be, I'm expecting there to be 37 branches, 34 plus mine plus Tubby's plus master. And right now there's 22 branches out of 37. Green Cat, I suggest doing step number 2 of what it just told you to do. You may need to log out and log back in to refresh your token. I recommend doing that. To log out and log back in, you need to go to File, Options, and then Sign Out, and then just sign in again.
Yep, once you create a branch with your name, make sure you publish the branch so that it actually shows up on the main repository. That's just the life of push to talk.
All right, we currently have 23 branches. We will be showing you how to make a pull request. I forgot to include it on the slideshow, but right before the lecture, we noticed that there's some bugs. So Tubby went ahead and fixed them, and we're going to show you how a pull request works when he pushes the update.
You guys actually don't need to make any pull requests yourselves at the moment because you guys don't have anything different from the master branch, so there's nothing to pull in.
That is true.
You could, but we'll go over that because there's a better way to handle that. Rather than merging the commit into your own branch, well, we're going to merge it into master, and then you guys will be able to pull that commit into your own branches.
All right, I'm going to give it just like 5 more minutes for people who still haven't finished cloning yet to finish, and for you to also make your branch and publish it. If there are any questions on how to do any of that, because you're falling behind, just ask.
One thing you guys should know about how branches work is that all of these branches are children branches of the master branch. So what that means is that any changes that happen to master, you can pull into your child branches, and you'll be able to get those commit. So any major bug fixes that halt progression of anything, we can push to master, and then you guys can pull it all into your individual branches so you'll have those bug fixes available.
No, it is fine. Professor Renderer.
Ben, did you want me to create a pull request, or did you want to show them how to create a pull request?
You should do it probably.
Okay, well I'll create the pull request and then I'll show you how it gets merged.
Yeah, I didn't quite prepare for that properly. So yeah, you'd probably be the best one to show it off. That looks good, Captain Fireball. There's currently 26 branches.
Is anyone having an issue creating a branch?
I forgot, can you rename branches on GitHub?
I don't think you can. I'm pretty sure you just have to make a new branch, merge the stuff into there, and then just delete the old.
Yeah.
If you already cloned, all this changed on the master branch is just readme updates, so it shouldn't really impact the actual. Yeah, it's just been a bunch of readme updates.
All right, I honestly think we're good to go. We currently have 28 branches, so 27 if you don't count master. And we have 34 people in the voice chat right now. 2 of them are teachers, so that's 32 students and 25 branches. So again, if you're still cloning and you need help getting set up once you're done cloning, just feel free to ask a question if you're confused. So we're going to move on here. Let's see what's on the docket. Okay, so this is merging. So before we do this, do you want to show off the pull request? Tubby?
Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Yeah, hopefully with the amount of time it'll take you to do it, Discord will not act up in that time. All right, I put the link back at the top of voice chat. We're still doing Twitch. You just need to have a look at Tubby's screen for a minute instead of mine.
Everything showing up in the Discord screen share?
Not for me. So I'm gonna do rejoin. If it doesn't show up for you, I recommend rejoining the voice chat. Oh, it did show up for me. I just had to give it a minute.
Everybody's able to see the GitHub pull request page here? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to click into this pull request here, and we're going to see that this takes code from the cheesed fish branch and is going to merge it into the master branch. All this is up here. You can see the child branch that we're pulling from and the branch that it's heading to. Now, in order for a pull request to be merged into master, we need an approval from one of the repository managers. So Benjamin would have to put an accepting review onto this merge pull request before we could actually merge it into master.
Oh, okay. I should probably do that. Okay.
Now, this pull request is aptly named. It tells you that what it's supposed to do. You can add a description if you want, but most of the time, this should be explanatory enough to understand what's being done. Okay. So the pull request was approved. From here, we can go ahead and merge the pull request. Now, I don't recommend merging it yourself. All that this does is once you get approval, you can merge it. I highly recommend that in a normal workflow that you have another party confirm the merge so that you're having three separate people look at the pull request. But I'm going to do it because all right.
Why not?
So from here, you have the choice to delete the branch. I'm not going to because we're supposed to be keeping these branches. But this is like if you make a hotfix for the live server or whatever you're working with. Don't delete my branches. So if you want to make a hotfix for like if there's a bug on the live server, you can create a temporary branch, merge the stuff in, and then delete the branch so it's not clogging up your branches.
All right,
that's pretty much all there is to pull requests. Creating them is really simple. You can create them in GitHub Desktop, everything like that, and the process is pretty self-explanatory. There's just a there should be a button in. Hang on. Yeah, there should be a button. What you would do is you would go to where it says current branch here. I'm wrong. Hang on. Yeah, repository, pull. Never mind. You know what? Just I work with the website.
Same. Yeah, if you ever have questions on the pull request, though, don't worry too much about what it all means now. We can always go over it again in the future. It pretty much what you need to get out of pull requests is that the merge changes from one branch into another.
Yes, and actually, now that this pull request has been merged into the master branch, if you all go to your GitHub desktop, you should be able to see that you'll be able to fetch origin, and that'll pull in all of the changes that just got merged from my branch into all of your branches.
Yeah, so if you look back at the Twitch stream here, you'll see I have an image up of the GitHub desktop app. So next to where it says current branch, there's a button that says fetch origin. Just click that, and as Tubby said, it will go and download all of the changes that were just made to your computer. Yes, little CJ, you are supposed to publish.
Might have to give it a second just for it to update. But once you hit fetch origin, it should refresh it, and then you'll be able to pull in changes. Yep, and then you'll see where it says pull origin, you click that.
Yeah, it'll say pull origin, last fetch just now. It'll have like a number next to it.
Make sure you have the master branch checked out first.
You have to,
and then you can pull requests from master into your own branch. Since these branches were all made before this pull request was made, it's running at wherever master was before the pull request. So you don't have to make your own pull request to merge these changes from master into your own. Okay, so Ben, do you want to go over this, doing a pull request from master into their own branches?
Yes. So first off, I'm just going to help everyone catch up if they still haven't managed to fetch yet, because some of them are confused about that. So before you fetch, you need to make sure that you go back to the master branch. Now, when you created your new branch originally, if you look at my screen, it's going to look something like this. It'll say current branch and then whatever name you decide to give it. You're going to want to go and click on that and go back to the default branch, which is master. So then it'll just say current branch master. Once you're back on the master branch, then you can get the changes that were just made to that by clicking the fetch origin button. It'll fetch it, it'll download the changes, pull origin, and it'll just say last fetch just now. If you want to make sure that it worked, you need to go from the changes tab to the history tab. And right here on the history, you'll see like 5 minutes ago, 16 minutes ago. And that's when Tubby made his spellbook fixes, and then he merged them in from his branch to the master branch.
Yes, fine. That's correct. You won't see the changes on your branch. This is just making sure that you did retrieve the.
Yep, we're going to show you how to bring them over to your branch. All right, so does anyone have any questions about fetching the updates that were just made? Awesome. All right. So what you're going to do now in order to merge the changes that were just made over to your branch is you're going to go back to the branch selection. Oh, welcome back, little cat. You're going to go to branch selection and then either type in or scroll down to the branch that you made for yourself. So for me, I'm going to go to the Benjamin 8693 branch. And you'll see in the history, Tubby's commits are nowhere to be found because you're using an outdated version on your branch. But we're going to teach you how to update it. So once you're on your current branch, which should be your own personal one, I'm going to go back to here. You're going to want to click this button that says choose a branch to merge into, and then it'll have the name of the branch you're currently working on. So once you click that button, you'll be given a menu like this one, and it'll say merge into in your branch name. So you're going to want to type in the word master or just find it yourself. And then you're going to want to select master. And then it'll tell you how many commits you're merging from master into your own branch. And then just click the big blue button that says merge master into, and then whatever branch name you're working with. So I'm going to do that myself. Choose a branch to merge, master selected. It's going to merge in 2 commits. Press the big button, and it'll merge successfully. Now, after you do this, you're going to have to push origin. Now, why do you need a push origin? What does that even mean? So now that you've merged in the changes from master to your own branch, yeah, that's updated on your own computer, but you need to update it on the GitHub server so everyone can see that you've done this. And to do that, all you got to do is click push origin, and then it'll update it to the GitHub server. So I'm going to go to our repository and check to see if everyone's doing it correctly.
If everything checks out, then when you check out your repository on the website, it should say you have 10 commits in your repository. And it should also say the branch is even with master.
Yep. Also, if you feel like this is a lot of information, like I've already said a few times, do not stress over having to remember this, because we will simply answer any questions you have regarding it. If it takes 20 times for you to remember this process, we will tell you 20 times. Do not worry about getting it right the first time. It is completely fine.
Yep, after you merge, you're going to push origin. That will make sure that the server knows that you updated the file.
The slides will be published in the description of the video that will be uploaded.
You're going to be merging master into your branch, not the other way around, because that would be bad. You don't want to ever merge your own branch into master. The master branch is basically the reference branch. That should only be updated when major things are being changed. Otherwise, version control is important, where you keep any of your own changes on your own branch. Yes, because master is a protected branch, it would need to be approved. So there's no way you can accidentally push there, but I still wouldn't do it. What's your branch name, Mikey?
Yep, I was just gonna ask that. Forensics Alpha.
Let's check. No, nope, you did it right.
Did it. Yeah. Yep, you did it good. Is anyone still stuck or in the middle of doing this, or are we free to move on to the next part?
I've been checking every branch. It seems like they all are up to master.
Okay, so if there's no objections, I think we're going to move on. Let's see what I have next. So a good thing about GitHub is it'll tell you the changes that someone made to each individual file. So if I open up my actual client here, you'll see if you look in the history, I can click on the commit that Tubby made, and it'll list every single file that he changed. So if it has an orange icon, it means he changed it. Red icon means delete. Green icon means he made a brand new file. So you can see he changed 4 files. He changed the DC file and then 3 different Python files. And what's highlighted in red is what was removed. What's highlighted in green is what was added. So you see he made some pretty simple changes here. He removed some stuff, added some stuff, replaced some stuff, etc.
Yeah, that was a really stupid thing in Maxtoon there that was causing it to crash.
Yeah, because I left in the damn cognation tier from Toontown offline. Okay, let's see what's next. Ah, yes, my big slide that says great on it. All right, so great. We're set up with the source code now. Hopefully everyone has it. You did not miss everything after push origin. Great. So everyone should have the source code now. So the next thing you should do is have a look at your source code. So in your file explorer, just go to wherever you decided to download it and have a look at all the files. It should look something like this. There are a few folders that won't exist yet because you have not yet ran the game. So the logs folder, I don't think will exist yet. Settings.json, I don't think that'll exist yet. Several of these folders won't exist, but most of them should. So just have a look at the Twitch video right now and compare it to what your files look like, and it should be pretty similar. Mark, you want to go to where you decided to download your files to. Yes, Mikey, that looks great.
It depends on if you have hidden folders enabled. If you don't have hidden folders, then the Git folder won't show up. The IDEA, I'm not quite sure what
I think that's Pycharm.
Yeah, that might be Pycharm. So that won't generate until you actually target this folder as a project in Pycharm.
Also, if you guys are wondering how I have dark theme, I can just show you that on my own time, but not now. But dark theme for Explorer is great.
Yeah, the Git folder, it may or may not show up. It depends on whether you have hidden folders enabled. You probably should, because it's not really harming anything and it lets you see in case something malicious is there for whatever reason. So I would highly recommend turning that on.
All right, so as long as everyone's file directory looks pretty much like this, we're going to begin with Panda 3D. and installing it. But before we do that, I just want to make clear, I posted this earlier today in the download setup channel, but this isn't required, but a recommended text editor that I think you guys should use is called Notepad++. This will help us open several of the different file types, such as the .json files without extensions like Python path, etc. You don't really need this. You could just use normal Notepad. Honestly, Notepad++ is pretty convenient, though. Genie does work, whatever preferred text editing software you have. Just generally anything's better than normal Notepad, and I recommend Notepad++. It's not the most important, though.
In my case, Notepad++ is also my IDE because I hate myself.
It used to be my IDE up until like 2016, and then I think I was introduced to Pycharm then. Okay, so don't worry too much about installing it right now. If you can, that's great. But what you're gonna want to do first is open our Readme. So the Readme is an MD file extension. Honestly, I have no fucking idea what that stands for. Some people might. I don't. What matters is you have to open it with a text editor. So right-click it, and if you have Notepad++ installed, just press Edit with Notepad++. If not, I think the Edit button will work and open in Notepad. If not, just open with Notepad or some other text editor. Oh, okay, that makes sense that it stands for Markdown. But yeah, make sure you open up the Readme in some sort of text editor. And then when you do that, it'll look something like this. This is what it looks like when I opened it up in Notepad++.
So your file will also have a testing header at the end, since there were updates to the Markdown files. And
yes, this is like a slightly old version of the file. So when you have this open, you could be viewing it on the web page, but I just wanted to get us in the habit of opening some of these files on our own. But the reason I have you go on this is because I want you to go and grab the link for downloading Panda 3D. Now, these are the links at the bottom to Panda 3D, and it's the version we're going to be using for the course. So you cannot just use the version of Panda 3D that they have available on the Panda 3D website. You have to use these versions. Now, please contact Little Cat after the lecture, preferably, for instructions on the Linux Panda 3D setup. So, the first link is for the 32-bit version of Panda 3D for Windows. The second link is a 64-bit version. If you don't know if your computer is 32-bit or 64-bit, just download the 32-bit and don't worry too much about figuring that out for now. So just copy the link into your browser, and then it should bring you to a Google Drive download in which you can download the Panda 3D installer. So once you've done that, just open up the Panda 3D installer, and you should be at this. So I'm just going to wait for everyone to download it and get to this stage. Captain, I will go over that in just a second. I'm waiting for everyone to download it because it's like 80-something megabytes. It might take someone a minute or two. Who keeps leaving and joining? NeoNote, we already have Astron. downloaded. It came with the source code that you already cloned to your computer.
Yep, the Astron executable will be in the Astron folder of the source code. The modified Panda 3D build will be in the bottom of the Readme Markdown file on the master branch. You can download either the 32-bit or the 64-bit installer.
We're not going to be going over database stuff, Darth. It doesn't matter that you downloaded this earlier. That's perfectly fine if you did. So once you've downloaded the installer wizard, it should look like this. And then you just have to click next to continue. And of course, accept the license agreement that they give you. Pretty simple stuff. And as for where you install it, I recommend just the root of the C drive like it automatically recommends. It should look something like this. If it's not running, try running it in administrator mode and make sure your antiviruses don't like have a hissy fit over it. It should not matter if you install it on your D drive, I don't think.
Yeah, the only thing you would have to do is change your pPython path, which we're going to have to go over anyways for anybody that's running a 32-bit machine.
So once you've chose the install location, you're going to be asked to choose components. Now, by default, all of these will be checked off. And honestly, you can just install it right there. But personally, because I don't want extra clutter, you can uncheck C++ support, and you can uncheck sample programs. That'll save a little bit of disk space for you. I personally uncheck them if I ever have to reinstall Panda, but you can leave every single one checked if you want. That is completely fine. But the rest of them all have to be checked. So Panda 3D libraries, tools and utilities, Python modules, Python 2.7, and Maya plugins all need to be checked because you're going to want all of that. And let me press install. It'll go ahead and install. So I'm going to give everyone like 5 minutes to continue downloading the executable and install Panda 3D. It might take more than that though, so we'll see as we go.
Captain, in that case, a lot of source codes will have their own proprietary pPython path file that will describe what Python version to load. So as long as that's set to whatever Python version it's supposed to run with, it shouldn't impact other source code. Plus, this is using a cutting-edge version of Panda 3D, so a lot of source codes are still running on either 1.10 or 1.9.
Wow, I can't believe we're already 2 hours into this. Didn't expect it to take that long. But hopefully, I think we should all have the game running before the lecture ends. Just another note, I'm not sure if this is actually going to happen to anyone, but if for some reason you get this error message, which I'm showing on my screen right now, just press ignore. Don't worry about it. Well, I suppose that we could go on to the next part if everyone's still in the middle of downloading. And we can show how to set up Pycharm. Actually, did I put that later? Oh yeah, I put that after starting up the game for the first time. Alright, I guess we'll wait then. So, I guess while everyone's still waiting for their executable to download and install, I guess I'm going to touch on a little bit of background information about the Toontown server structure. So I'm just going to advance a couple slides here, but don't worry about it too much. All right, so Toontown has, when you run a Toontown server locally, there's 4 things that you're generally going to run. There is the Astron server, the UberDog server, the AI server, and of course the game itself. Now, what are all of these things? So, well, the order that you normally start them in is Astron, then UberDog, and then AI. But luckily, we've included a start all file that should automatically start them all in the order that you need them to start in. So, and then of course, after you're on the server, you run the game. So the Astron is the, how do I best describe this? Astron is the server technology that helps connect the client to the AI, to the UberDog. It helps pretty much connect all of them together. The UberDog server can be thought of as the whole bubble that encapsulates the entire game. And I'll get more into that later, because I want to first explain what the AI is. The AI is the district server. So anything that happens on the server in the current district you're in is running on the AI server. So, for example, when you fight the VP, for example, when you're given the reward, that is run through the AI server. Because the server processes the fact that, okay, you just won the VP. It distributes the reward to you. Now, the purpose of the UberDog server is really to keep all of the districts in check. Now, for example, if you have someone on your friends list that is in a completely different district to you, but you want to message them, the message will go through the UberDog server because you and your buddy aren't connected to the same AI server because you're on different districts. So the UberDog sort of bridges the gap for people who are not on the same district. The UberDog is also important for systems such as, systems such as Toon parties. When you host a Toon party and you walk up to the party gate and you see all of the parties that are listed there, you see all the parties listed that were created in every district. You don't just see the parties that were created in the district you're in, you see all of them. The UberDog helps manage that for you. Now, unfortunately, we don't have working parties in this version of the source, but that's just an example of what the UberDog is used for.
Another case example would be if you've ever played on a private server that has guilds or clubs, such as Toontown Infinite, Corporate Clash, or Tooniversal. All of those use the UberDog server in order to communicate between districts and manage membership, moderation tools to promote or demote, kick members, that kind of thing.
And of course, the game is the game. So when everyone's done setting up their Panda 3D, we're going to go over one more step, and then we're going to actually run our own local server and game for the first time.
Yeah, the game is the client. It's another word for it. So
yeah,
that's basically everything that's local to your tune only. So like your sticker book is generated on the client, since no other tune needs to access your sticker book besides you. It may pull data from the server to populate that book, but
yeah, like for example, when you open your sticker book, your game doesn't magically know if the districts are full or not. You need to get that information from somewhere. So when you open your sticker book, the server will keep you up to date on the status of all the districts. So on most private servers nowadays, it'll tell you the actual population count of how many people are in each individual server, each individual district. Apparently, some people are having.
I have libuv. I actually just downloaded it right before this, so I can upload the package for that. You're going to open this just like any other zip folder, and then you're going to navigate to whatever system you're using. So in the case of Windows, you're going to want to open that up just like any other folder. So if you're using WinRAR, right-click Open as Archive, whatever it is. I don't use WinRAR anymore, so let's see here. So you're going to open that up. Then you're going to navigate to Runtime, and then either Windows x64 or x86. 86 being if you're 32-bit, 64 if you're 64, native, and then libuv.dll is in there. You're going to copy that to Astron's folder. So let me get the path for that. Yeah, you open it up as an archive. So use whatever archiving tool you use, either 7-zip, WinRAR, anything like that. You could also probably just rename it to a zip file and open it up that way. That's if you're using Windows. If you're using Linux, you're also going to, there's also the files for that.
Comrade, what we've been telling people so far is how to get around GitHub, and right now they're installing Panda.
Yeah, Sketched has already extracted it for you guys. If you only, yeah, he renamed it basically. That's, you just open it up like a zip folder. And then this gets extracted to your Astron folder. Yes, Linux uses a different version. It's different from Windows. So you can still use the library file. There should be one in there for libuv for any Darwin systems or anything like that. So you can use that. You extract it to the Astron folder in your source code. You know, I could probably, we could probably manually upload that, but we're not sure if people are using 32-bit. Oh, if it says the application was unable to start correctly, you may need to download new Visual C++ redistributables. I know I had to update mine, and then after I did that, it booted up just fine.
This is the 2015 ones?
I downloaded the latest version, so. You can either open up you open it just like any other archive, or you can open up the version that Sketched posted that uses zip folder.
You want to put the DLL file in the root of the Astron folder.
Yep, hang on.
Right here. Yes, comrade.
The repo should have been cloned a long time ago. If you have your own built version of Astron, I would just not stage it for any commits, or you could ignore it yourself. GitHub for Windows makes it pretty easy to not stage files for commit. You just don't check them. Astron's not going to work because there's a missing dependency. You're going to want to take the libuv file that we're all talking about. Okay, that error. You're going to need to install the latest version of the Microsoft C++ redistributables. And then you're going to have to restart as well because it won't take effect until you actually restart.
I'm going to go and post some of these additional files in the download setup channel. So if you're watching this video after the fact, you can go ahead on the Discord server and look in there to find them.
Let me see what version I just installed because the one that I used made it work. Let me sort downloads by date. I installed, where is it? Yeah, I had just installed Net Framework 4.8. That made it work. Here's the download link for the Net Framework. To the right, you're going to want to download the Net Framework, and then you're going to want to select the run times. Yeah, I was saying C++ redistributables. Huh. You could uninstall and then reinstall, yeah. If you get that error, you may have to restart your computer as well for the actual changes to take effect. Yes, Captain, you're in game now, so that is working. If you guys have not installed the Net Framework, you will have to restart your machine in order for it to actually take effect. So, once you put the DLL in Astron, you're going to want to go to the Win32 folder and then hit Start All, and then it should start up the game.
Before that, we need to make sure that everyone has their Python path set correctly too, which I'll show them how to do in a second here.
If you go to Control Panel, Programs and Features, then you should be able to select the latest version of the Net Framework, and then uninstall. That Looks like it's it, but that's an older version. I'm not sure why that would conflict with 4. You can install Panda 3D to your C drive.
It's
at the bottom of the Readme Markdown file.
What's not opening up, Mikey? Which one?
If there is no net framework and programs and features, that means you don't have it installed, which means that you need to install it. You only need to uninstall it if you are getting a conflicting thing saying that there's an older version already installed. Oh, you don't want to actually run the Astron file itself. You want to use the batch files in Win32. Running the actual program itself will just instantly close it. It does matter, yeah. You shouldn't need to restart your machine if you already restarted it. You're just going to go to the Win32 folder and then start all. You're going to put the DLL in the Astron folder. Just to be clear, you did restart your computer after you installed? Okay. Interesting.
For those who are wondering if if everything's working now and whether they should run the game or not, you can attempt to run the game. However, I am waiting until everyone is caught up in terms of the additional packages they're downloading and in terms of the Astron issues that are happening before I go on to the next step, which will lead into starting the game. But if you can manage to do it before, then that's great.
Cracking a joke, it looks like you're using the wrong version of Python. It's trying to load a different Panda 3D's Python. If you're getting path has not been specified, that means that your PyPython file needs to be changed. If you install a 32-bit version of Windows, you're going to want to open up your PyPython path with Notepad++ or any other text. And you're going to want to change the contents of it to this.
Yeah, you can see that on my Twitch stream right now.
You're going to want to change the contents of PyPython path
with any text editor.
You can if you changed files locally, you can either put it in your git ignore or you can just not stage it for a commit.
Yeah, I typically just don't stage it.
What service are you trying to start up right now, Mikey? You just double click them. You just double click bat files to run them. Oh, you're on Mac. Yeah, that might be a bit trickier then. And do we have sh files for that?
Yes. Well, we have .command.
Okay.
In the Darwin folder, but I'm not sure if the Panda 3D is going to work that great.
Yeah, try using the Darwin commands for it then. Yeah, you should see like a Win32 in the Darwin folder. Okay, Mikey, try starting up each service individually, starting with Astron, then UberDog, then AI. Are all of you getting the 0xC0000000, that one? Yeah, 7. Okay, I was getting this, and then installing the Net Framework did fix it, so I'm not sure.
After you install Net Framework, don't you have to reboot?
Yeah, I did reboot, and that fixed it. You guys did reboot after installing the Net Framework, right? The runtime? Okay. Instead of all of us trying to use start all, let's start from the beginning. All of you try using start Astron and tell me what the result. Permission denied to run Astron? Hang on a second, you're on Mac, right? Why is this not like... That's why. Okay, cracking a joke. You need a libuv. We posted that up. It's pinned. You're going to want to use the version that Darth Nihilus posted.
Renko, are you running the server, or did you just run start game?
Mikey, that's exactly what you want to get. That's what Astron should look like. Did you change PPython path? What is PPython path?
And is that the directory of your Panda 3D, Mikey?
Yeah, what version of Panda 3D did you install? 32-bit or 64-bit? then you want to keep it as x64. You only need to change it if you're using 32-bit. I'll DM you what you need to change it to. libuv goes into the Astron folder. Right into the root folder.
Jamie, what were you trying to do?
Copying a file. What were you trying to copy? Okay, Mikey, are you sure that Panda 3D 1.11 is installed?
You should navigate to your C drive or wherever you installed it.
Where did you install Panda 3D? Yeah. Where's Panda 3D installed on your machine, Mikey? Like, if you go to your C drive, is it there? Okay, I see a lot of people are getting the X. Yeah.
I guess I can try what Conrad just posted.
Yeah, what you can try what Comrade posted. Make sure that Astron isn't running when you try. Okay. Are you sure it's not running in the background, Dark Happy? Open up your task manager and make sure there's no instances of Astron to run. Hi, Jamie, what's your issue? Okay, so same issue as... Okay, go into processes and make sure that... go into processes, make sure that there's no Astron running at all. Because if you opened up the executable on its own, it's possible that it might be running in the background. Another option would be to extract it to a separate folder and then just bring it into that folder itself.
No. Do you have any other Panda 3Ds installed?
Okay, Dark, open up the zip folder just normally. Don't use the extract feature. Just open up the folder. Like, double click on it. You can't drag it out, really? If you're getting import errors saying no module named Toontown, that means that you're using the wrong version of Panda 3D for the game. We're gonna go over path variables in just a second here.
That looks great, Mikey.
Yeah, a lot of commands will reset districts, trust me. Let's just say that those are projects for you guys to fix. I did fix the main issue with magic words crashing, no matter what they were, but a lot of the words are still broken since they rely a lot on how Toontown Offline structured their magic words. So, and this is mostly vanilla Toontown source. MaxToon should not be broken if you updated your branch.
I mean, it's open source, Conrad, so have at it.
Yeah, honestly, I stopped using Windows archive extraction tools ages ago. I've just been using 7-zip and WinRARSen. Oh. Is the accessories page broken, really?
It's weird because I checked through those tabs to make sure they work when I was porting it over.
Oh, you needed a trunk? Is that why it crashed? Emotes crash in the game. Yep, that does. Neat.
Jamie, what is your issue?
Yeah, the source code is very crashy, just so you guys know. Let's say that it's intentional.
Yeah, like I was the one who pretty much stripped the source and just like tinkered around with it for the most part. I really didn't put in the most effort into it yet. I was mainly just getting it functional so everyone can log in. So if there's an odd feature or two, like emotes or certain magic words that crash yet, don't worry about that because they can either service projects for you, as Tubby has said, or we will just go ahead and fix them ourselves within the next few days. So as long as you can make a tune and get in Toontown Central, that is perfectly fine for what we need right now.
Little CJ, where did you install Panda 3D? You're going to want to change the pPython path to redirect to the D drive, then, not the C. The pPython path file is set to that? You can commit it to your own branch, but the thing is that I guess if we want to like demonstrate things from other branches, we could just check out that branch and run that on the server rather than just merging it into master.
Yeah.
So I guess you can commit it to your own branch, sure. Though it is better to not. It's better to just not stage the commit, not stage it for a commit in the first.
Little CJ, did you save that?
That file's not saved. Yeah, you need to Control S. There should be a python path file in your folder there. Cracking a joke. You're going to want to open that up with Notepad++ or whatever text editor you use. And then you're going to want to change it to the directory of the Panda 3 of the Panda 3D version you just installed. If you use the 32-bit version of Windows, you just want to get rid of the x64 at the end there.
Oh, finally!
Cog summons are probably broken because of the way that offline restructured them. So,
wait, did we restructure them? I forgot.
Yeah, you did the whole different cog page, remember? And then you have the special cog summons, the rank 9s.
No. That was in 2.5.7. This one we haven't touched at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we're not gonna bring over that new one anyway, because like I don't like that. So we're gonna use the original TTL one.
Was it like a client crash? Let's find out. Yes, it's a client crash. No fade, sort index not defined. Oh, that's simple. DirectGUI just wasn't imported. Well, the internals of DirectGUI weren't imported.
Catapupalava, what steps for which part do you want us to go over? From the very beginning? Because if you want us to go over from the very beginning, but I don't think we have time for that. You're going to have to watch the video after we upload it. If you are wondering just for starting the game, then I can tell you that.
Okay, cracking a joke. Where's Panda 3D installed on your computer?
So for starting the game, once you have Panda 3D installed, what you need to do is in the root of your files, so you can have a look at my Twitch stream right now, there's a file called python_path. You're going to want to right-click that and open it with Notepad++ or some other text editor, and then it'll look like this. You're going to want to make sure that this successfully leads to the path of where your Panda 3D is. So depending on what version of Panda 3D you install, 32 or 64-bit, you might or may not need to change it. Once you're done that, save the file, and then go in the folder called Win32. From there, you can either run start_all.bat by double-clicking it, or if you want to start each process individually, you can first start Astron, then Uberdog, then AI, and finally the game.
That is what that library file is called, right? Toontown.library? Should be, right?
I forgot, honestly.
I don't see it in mine, but... Oh, that's because I'm in the wrong folder, that's why. Yeah, I put 1.10 instead of 1.11.
Jamie, are you running Astron.exe? No, you don't need to do that whatsoever. You don't need to run astron.exe directly.
Yeah, it should be a PYD file. I'm just making sure the library exists there and was in the build. Because if it's not, that means that it's the wrong version. You just go to that directory. It should be 1.11, not 1.10. Comrade, I'm trying to figure out if he has the correct version here. So
fixing golfing is extremely easy. I just forgot which value you have to change for that.
oh, that's always good. The run command crashes the district.
What? That should be a client command.
Yeah, dset run is not a thing in the vanilla.
Oh, I forgot. I made that a server command so you could toggle it on other people. Shit.
You can still do speed, I think.
What about
okay, so it does exist. I'm not sure why it's saying that the wrong file path was used then. We might have to go over path variables.
Rinko, what issue are you having with connecting? And Jamie, I'll go over this again. To run the game, once you've installed Panda 3D, you have to go to where your files are, and you'll see a file called python_path. You want to edit that with a text editor, preferably Notepad++ by right-clicking it. And then you're going to see something similar to this. You can have a look at my Twitch stream right now. And then you need to change this to your Panda 3D installation path. It may already be the same as where you've installed. It might not be. Once that's done, save it, and then go back and open the Win32 folder. And then inside of there, you can either run start all.bat, or you can run each one individually, and that's start Astron, start Uberdog, start AI, and then finally start game. And that's how you run the game.
Comrade, we're still trying to get the game set up for people. We're not modifying.
Rinko, what are you exactly running to start the game? Because it seems like your game's running fine, but you either are having trouble with the server or you're not running the server at all. You can find a list of commands in your sticker book in the page that looks like the wizard hat.
At Dark Happy, I can tell you right now that that change is quite advanced. It's not something that's going to be covered in the...
Rinko, in order to run the game, you need to make sure that you currently don't have any pre-existing server batch files running. So make sure you close out of all of them if you had any open previously. Then you want to run either start_all.bat, or you can run each individually. And the order in which you do that is start Astron server, start Uberdog server, start AI server, and then start game. Yes. You run it as a Windows batch file. Well, if it throws that error, then can you please send us a screenshot of what either Astron, Uberdog, or AI is showing in the console?
The error with cracking a joke is system could not find file path specified. which I would assume would be Python path. But he does have the correct version of Panda 3, or was it the Toontown.library?
Jamie, I'm not sure what you mean. So then you need to go in the folder called Win32, and then you can run start all.bat. And if that doesn't work, you can run each one individually, which is start Astron, start Uberdog, start AI, and then start game.
If it says no districts are available, that means that the server is not running. Make sure that you use start all instead of just start game, and make sure that you close out any other windows that you have currently open for game services, so that you're not creating conflicting ones. That's a new one on the Astron server for Rinko.
Yeah, that's a new one. Are you sure that maybe your antivirus is not deleted, Astron?
Yeah, that's entirely possible that your antivirus might have flagged it and then deleted the.
You can check that by going in your Astron folder and seeing if astrond.exe still exists.
Win32 is in the base folder, Jamie. If you look in where you cloned your source code, there should be a Win32 folder right in.
I can take a screenshot, Rinko. So you need to go into your Astron folder, which, why is my screenshot not sending? Come on, Discord.
There's a lot of commands that crash the game right now.
My screenshot sent. So in your Astron folder, there should be a file called astrond.exe. And if that does not exist, then it's most likely your antivirus has removed it, which might be causing your issue, Rinko.
So it does exist, huh?
That's definitely a new one then, when it says press any key to continue. Jamie, are you currently running your server and game, or what's the issue you're having? All right, just because we've been going at this for a while, can we please just have a count of who is still having trouble running the game? Okay, so NeoNote, for your issue, let me just make sure of something. Can you repeat your issue, please, NeoNote?
I'm fairly certain that has something to do with the path variable for that one.
Yeah, NeoNote, have you changed your Python path yet?
What's the error now, Rinko? That means that you started up another start game while you were logged in. You got to close all those processes down before you reconnect. Otherwise, you'll cause conflicts between districts and Uberdogs trying to share to the same channel.
Jamie, what files did you run? Did you just run start game?
You have to run start all, not just start game, because you're not running even the servers in the background. You're just running the.
Awesome. Great.
Okay, that's one down.
No module named Toontown.
I feel like he's using the wrong version of Panda, but his Python path is set and everything. So
wait a second here. Hold on, Tubby. Look at this. That's in his log. Do you see that?
I do see that, yeah.
Cracking a joke.
That's the wrong version of Python. Panda.
Yeah, your path seems like it's directing to some other version you previously had installed. By the way, I'd like to thank everyone for being patient. Normally, when you're setting someone up, especially a lot of people at once, everyone has a different environment they're working in. Everyone has a different computer. Some people may be running Windows 7, some people 8, some people 10. This can take quite a while to make sure everyone gets it down pat. Luckily, though, once we get through this part, then we'll never have to do something like this again. We'll never have to set everyone up at once again. This is the only time we'll ever have to do this. And once everyone pretty much gets their stuff set up, we're going to be good and smooth sailing from now. I will note, though, that because it's taking so long, we probably might end up going until 9:30 instead of 9, because after this, what we're going to do is quickly set you up with Pycharm, which should honestly not take that long at all. And you should already have Pycharm downloaded, so you don't need to download anything new there. You don't need to make any sort of new account. We just need to open the program and show you how it works, which is pretty simple. After that, we're going to have you make a very simple test change to the game. And finally, we're going to end it off by giving out the assignment. And then that's going to conclude the class for today. But again, thanks for being patient.
Okay, Jamie, I'm going to have you close down any of the command prompt windows that are running right. Okay, now that you got them all closed, run start all.
Cracking a joke. Can you please send us a screenshot of what your Python path file looks like?
Yes, there's going to be a lot of crashes in this source code. The more severe ones will patch out as the teachers, but the smaller ones will leave as project.
Cracking a joke, just to make 100% certain, have you saved that file? Because from what it looks like in the top left, it seems like you have not saved it.
Yeah, make sure that file is saved. Yeah, it's entirely possible to log in on 2 separate tunes. You just run another start game, but you have to modify some things so that you're not running with the same username and password, which creates the same token. In fact, you can create custom start game batch files that'll run on different tokens so that you can log in with multiple. But that's for later. That's not for now. You did save the file, correct? Okay, Jamie got his working, so just cracking a joke and NeoNote we need to fix.
Yep. Cracking a joke. This is a very hacky possible fix, but I want you to try it anyway. So you obviously have a different version of Panda 3D installed. Now, the issue you may be having could be related to the what's it called? It could be related to the path environment variable. I've had this issue before. I never really looked into how to fix it properly. I probably should. So again, this is a very hacky fix. You should try going to your C drive or wherever you have your versions of Panda 3D installed and simply rename the folder of the other Panda 3D that you are not using. Keep the name of the one we instructed you to install the same. Yeah, or you can just do what Awu said. I never really looked into it because I just prefer to do the hacky method, but you could do what Awu said to fix the proper path.
Actually, removing Mickey is a really easy job.
That is completely fine, Catapupalava. That is a functionality of the start all file, which will automatically check to see if you're currently running the game. And if so, it'll automatically close it for you and start up a fresh copy. So don't worry about those errors. Cracking a joke 1.11 is what you're supposed to use.
Yeah, it's literally just changing a config option from true to false to remove the Disney character.
NeoNote, can you send me a better screenshot of that, please?
Toontown, the Toontown library file should be included with the version of Panda 3D and the Readme markdown. So if you use that version of Panda, you don't need to worry about. Yeah, it's probably giving you emotes that are out of range. So I guess you just have to make a new tune because we're not going into database modification. Okay, that did work for cracking a joke. So it's just okay. So Kata's good now then. So just Neonote.
Yeah, I think so. Neonote, are you working on that, by the way? Oops. Neonote, that's the same exact screenshot. Well, okay, when I said bigger, I mean, can you please capture more space so I can see more context? Because I'm not quite sure what that is, or like what's around that. Decent armchair. If you just got here, what I recommend is follow all the instructions in the download setup channel. Fill out the form, install what you need to, create the accounts you need to. You're definitely too late for today's lecture, but this will be uploaded to YouTube and posted in the videos channel within 2 days. So I recommend going and watching that. And we have been experiencing lots of setup issues for everyone. So you're probably not going to have to watch a 3-hour video. You can definitely skip through lots of parts as you personally finish everything. Neonote, what you should probably do is change that to the Python folder in your Panda 3D. You should probably ask Awu to help you with this better, because I think he knows more about it than I do.
Oh, look at that. I guess the icon isn't in here. Neat.
I think it's in models, actually.
Is it?
For some reason, like the original offline one was in models, so I just like replaced it. I think it's in models GUI. Yeah, it's in models GUI.
Yeah, look at that. Icon.ico. It's right there. Models GUI.
All right, Neonote. If you need any help afterwards, don't mind personally calling you, after like later tonight or tomorrow and helping you out and finishing everything. But for now, we're finally going to move on because it seems that everyone else can run the game. So you should have at least been able to see the Picatoon screen, and you should probably start watching the Twitch video again so you can see my screen. So now that everyone's... sorry, go on.
Oh, and if you made it to, and you probably realize that there's a lot of crashes in the game right now, so it's not stable. Trust us, we know.
Yeah. So now that mostly everyone has finally managed to get in the game, are there any other questions before we move on to setting Pycharm up? You can use any IDE you want. We're simply recommending Pycharm as a base for new users so we can all move along and do the same things. I have already told you, yes, comrade. It's open source, so you can do whatever you want with it. Darth, I'll talk to you about that later. I haven't been responding to your messages yet. Lily, like I had mentioned before, we don't support Mac, but if Darth can hook you up, we'll try to sort that out at a later point. All right, well, since there's no questions, let's talk Pycharm. You should already have this installed, so I want everyone to go and boot up Pycharm right now. It might not be the same version I have, which you can see on my screen right now. I have Community Edition 2017.3.2. You might have a more updated version, or that's completely fine. It's better, actually. And when you open it up, it should look, well, maybe not like this, because this is how it looks when I have something loaded. But let me move to the next slide here. And it should look something bare, and you can just press File and press Open to open our project. And then you simply select the file path for where you decided to download the source code, and then it'll open it, and you'll have the project. It's as simple as that. So when you open the project, everyone's screen should pretty much look like this. And let me know if there's any trouble trying to load it up. Yeah, so when you have Pycharm open, you simply need to go to the top left where it says File and press Open. Or if there's no, if you can't select File, it'll probably prompt you in some way to open some sort of project. I don't know how the interface looks when you haven't opened a project before. But then you simply select the directory where you installed the source code, and then your screen should look something like this. The font will be a little different because I have mine somewhat customized. You won't have like a nice Mickey background image like I have. Yeah, Mikey, so you just press Open. You just press Open right in the middle there. All right, so has everyone managed to open the project yet, or are people still working on it? Yeah, you should be good if your screen looks like what's currently on the Twitch stream. Yes. That's great, comrade. Yep, that's great. So then you're going to want to click the little drop-down arrow next to the Toontown Schoolhouse folder to open up the directory. So I'll demo it on my screen. You just click that little arrow and it'll drop down and you can see all your files here. Now, what is Pycharm used for? Why are we using this instead of something else? Well, Pycharm is known, it's called what's known as an IDE. Now, an IDE is pretty much what you edit code in. Now, Pycharm is focused on Python files. So let's just open up a sample file together. So in order to do that, you should probably navigate to the Toontown folder. And in the Toontown folder, you will see the directories for most of the Toontown source code. You will eventually memorize where everything is, but honestly, it's pretty self-explanatory most of the time. For example, CogHQ has most, not all, but most of the files related to CogHQs. Cogdominium has most of the files related to field offices. Catalog has most files related to catalog, etc. There are some weird instances and things that you'll be confused of, such as what's in the hood folder, what's in town, stuff like that. And sometimes things aren't organized in the best folder, but generally you're going to come to memorize it. So let me think of an example file to open. Let's just open the tune folder, and let's open.
Laugh meter is a pretty good place to start, honestly.
Oh, laugh meter, is that Toontown GUI?
No, it's in Tune.
Oh, okay, let's open the tune folder instead, and scroll down to the laugh meter file. Now to open files, all I gotta do is double click, and then it'll open it as its own tab on Pycharm. Captain Fireball, don't worry about that. That's completely fine. So the purpose of Pycharm is, for one, you can edit multiple files at once. Like I said, there's tabs here. So if I wanted to, I could open up inventory new, inventory base, group panel, group invites, experience. I can open up all these files, switch between them pretty fast. This is useful when a feature you're working on requires you to work on several different files at once. Oops. So if you accidentally collapse the file browser for some reason, you can just double click the top here where the tabs are and it should open it back up. If your Pycharm says invalid Python interpreter selected for the project, what you should do is go to File, Settings. Then I believe you need to go to Project, and then it'll say Toontown Schoolhouse, Project Interpreter, and then you need to select the version of Python that Pycharm itself is referencing. Now, Pycharm helps you know whether something you're coding will work or not sometimes. So, for example, if something is highlighted in red, that can mean that what you've written won't work and it'll crash immediately. Sometimes it doesn't mean that, don't worry about it too much for now. But Pycharm gives us many hints as to what we're writing or not actually works good. You don't have to worry about much of that for now. I'm just showing the basics of Pycharm today. So for the project interpreter, you just have to go to show all plus add local, and then I believe you just select the file path of where your Python is. So you just navigate to the Panda3D folder, go inside of the Python folder inside of that, and you'll set your interpreter to that Python version in Panda3D. If your Pycharm is acting slow right now, It may be because it's indexing all the files. It'll generally only do this once. It's just making sure that it is keeping track of all the files in the project.
Yeah, it's always going to be slow the first time around. If your interpreter is set to Python 3.7, it doesn't hurt to change it to Python 2.7. Although there might just be like a few things that don't work, like print statements might be highlighted as red. If you don't mind ignoring those, then it's not really a big deal. But we are on version 2.7.
Yeah, so base interpreter, when it says select Python interpreter, you want to go to where your Panda 3D is. So for example, I would go right here, select that, go in the Python folder. Then you select python.exe, press OK. Press OK. It'll take a second to set things up. All right, then that's selected as your interpreter. Press OK, apply. Press OK, and you've set it up as your interpreter. And then some of the stuff highlighted in red should go away, such as the imports at the top of the file. You do not need to worry about integrating Git with Pycharm. Awesome. Good job, NeoNote. Good shit.
Python. You want to use Python. PPython is Panda's proprietary Python. You will notice that Pycharm will try to underline some things that would seem kind of weird. Like if you look in load, you'll see that it underlines every instance of head with the reasoning being what does it say here? Hang on. Yeah, it just doesn't like camel case.
Camel case is great, though.
Yeah, it's just Pycharm doesn't like it because it's more Pythonic to use underscores in your variable names.
No, Captain Fuck.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about Git. Yeah, Pycharm is a little bit RAM heavy, so.
I just posted some screenshots in the chat as to how you set up your Python interpreter. Okay, so once everyone has their interpreter properly set up, we're just going to do a very small sample of changing something in the Toontown source code. So for starters, you want to make sure that your server and your game are all closed. So you want to make sure that all your command prompt windows are closed, so the server shut down, the game shut down. You don't have the game open at all. Where have you guys gotten lost? All right, well, I'm going to continue going, and hopefully we'll be able to help you out later, or you can just watch back on these stream. But since we're pretty cut for time, I'm just going to move on. So, all right, once that's set up, we're going to try editing something very, very small. So Pycharm is very good at helping you navigate around the code. So an example of this is the find functionality. You can pretty much find anything you want to find. So for this example, we're going to be changing the text that shows when it says pick a tune to play. Now, this doesn't really matter too much, but the text is a bit weird in how it's laid out. Each word has 2 spaces in between it. That's just because the formatting looks better. So what you're going to want to do when you have Pycharm open is press Control, Shift, and F all at the same time. And that'll bring up the Find To Path option. So now what you need to do is there's 4 different modes underneath the search bar: in project, module, directory, and scope. Generally, you're going to want to search for in project. That'll make sure that you search for this term throughout the entire project. You also want to make sure that file mask is enabled, and you want to mask it to only .py files. So .py. Generally, this will make sure that our search terms don't seep into other files, such as the resource files. Sometimes you will want to search in the resource files, and when you do, you can untick this. But for now, you should probably leave it ticked. Match case, words, and regex should all be unchecked. Now, what you want to do is you want to search pick a tune to play in the search bar. There's 2 spaces in between each word. And then when you do that, it'll come up with something. The reason why it's not doing that for me right now is because I've already changed it earlier before the lecture when I was setting things up. So let me just move to this window, and it should look like this. It'll show there's 1 instance of pick a tune to play in 1 file. It'll say to the right the name of the file. It'll say what line in that file is it found on. And then in order to automatically enter that file, you simply double-click. You double-click what's selected or highlighted in blue, and it'll bring you to that file, and it should look something like this. So to change it, all you need to do is replace pick a tune to play with whatever you want. So for my example, I replaced pick a tune to play to pick a tune you coward. So once you do that, Pycharm will automatically save your changes for you. Darth, are you making sure that you have a space in between each word?
Yeah, this string is formatted differently. It has double spaces in between
2 spaces. And make sure your settings are the same. So you have in project selected, and these 4 checkboxes at the top only have the last one marked, which is file mask, and put .py in it.
Mark, you need double spaces between that.
You need 2 spaces in between each word, not 1. It's just a weird way Disney decided to format it.
In fact, if you wanted to see why they did that, you can remove the double spaces in between and see what it looks like instead.
Yep, and once you do that, like I said, Pycharm will automatically save your changes, and you can run your game like some people already have, and have a look at what's changed. Saving is automatic. I'm loving all these examples, by the way. So, is anyone else having trouble with setting a custom phrase for the Picatoon? Okay, that's fine, Rinko. You press Control, Shift, and F all at the same time. It'll bring up this Find in Path menu, and you want to search for Pick a Tune to Play, and there's 2 spaces in between each word. Okay, so what do you mean, Jamie? What are you having an issue with? Did you restart your game, Jamie? I really like your changes, Tavi. Those are magnificent. All right, well, Mikey, are you on the step to change Picatoon to Play? Okay, are you done with the interpreter now? So when you're done with the interpreter, what you want to do is press Control, Shift, and F all at the same time. It'll bring up this menu that you can see on my screen called Find in Path. You can search for a phrase in the search bar, and as long as you have in project mode selected, which you can find under the search bar, it'll search the entire source code for the phrase that you've typed in. You also want to make sure that at the top right of this menu, that the file mask option is also checked, and it has .py in that bar. When you search Picatoon to Play, each word needs 2 spaces in between it. And then in order to enter that file, you simply double click where you can see is highlighted in blue on my screen, and that'll bring you into the file. From there, all you need to do is change the text. So for example, I changed it to "Pick a tune, you coward," instead of "Pick a tune to play." And then it'll automatically save. And from there, you can open up your game and you can have a look at the changes yourself. All right, so in the interest of time, if anyone's still having issues, they can talk to me after the lecture, or they can refer to the video again. I'm going to move on to the last couple parts of the lecture. So that's how it looks for me when I did it. A lot of you put examples in the chat, which is great. So I'm just going to quickly go over some of the other tools that you may or may not have downloaded yet. We're not going to be using them today. I'm just going to briefly explain what they're for. So for this course, what we're going to be studying is mainly the programming side of Toontown. However, I believe all Toontown programmers should have some sort of proficient understanding of the creative pipeline. So if, say, someone on the 3D modeling team just hands you a model file, I think you need to be able to know how to get that into the game ready. I also think the modeler should probably take it upon themselves to learn the pipeline too, but I think both ends should really know it just to make sure. So when we're learning Maya and Blender, we will teach you how to apply different attributes to models, how to make collisions right, how to make GUI the non-hacky way to make it the Disney way. But you won't really be learning too many creative components regarding Maya or Blender. We're only really going to spend maybe one lecture on Maya or Blender. I'll be teaching the Maya side of it. Tubby here will be teaching the Blender side of it. We're not going to focus on it too much. It shouldn't be that hard to learn. Maybe to set up, it could be a little bit annoying, but we're not going to focus too much time on it. The second thing is the Toontown spoofer. And I might add as a disclaimer here, we may ask you to download something like Photoshop or Paint.net too. Don't worry about that for now, but it ties into the Toontown spoofer. So how Toontown normally handles their textures is they use a combination of JPEGs and RGB files. Now, JPEGs do not have transparency. JPEG images have no transparency. But in Toontown, the way that they give them transparency is through RGB files. Now, you could use PNG files in Panda 3D, and they work completely fine. However, they are generally larger files, and I don't know, it's just a personal nitpick of mine. I like to keep to the original Disney style, which is why I prefer to turn all my PNGs into JPEGs and RGBs just to keep in line with how Disney handled their resources. So we'll be learning how to use the Toontown spoofer and whatever art or drawing program like Photoshop or Paint.net related program you want to use. We'll be learning how to use those two in conjunction to create proper textures that we can also apply to models. Again, this isn't really going to show any creative component, more of a technical side of things. But we will go into that in more detail in another lecture. So finally, we have the first assignment. So this assignment is due in 8 days. It is due on the 10th of November at midnight. So the assignment is to take a subject matter in Toontown. It could be tunes, it could be cogs, doodles, playgrounds, trolley, golfing, any subject matter you can think of. And we want you to adventure into the source code and change several aspects related to your subject matter that make a considerable difference in the game. So just so you don't get confused about our expectations, I'm going to be showing off an example of this assignment right now. So the example I'm going to be showing off are the cogs. So I'm going to be browsing code related to the cogs, and I'm going to be changing the appearance of some cogs, and I might be switching up some of the attacks. So I'm going to do that right now. So What does it mean by adventure into the Toontown source code? Well, first off, let me make sure that my font is like. Can you guys see the font clearly on the Twitch chat? I want to make sure you can read the code. I'm not going to be teaching much code today, but more so I'm going to be changing values, and I want you to see the values that I'm going to be changing. Let me see if I can, hold on. Pycharm, zoom, and I just want to increase it.
Try a Control Shift Plus, I think it is. It's either Control Shift Plus or Control Plus.
Nope, not working. Control Alt S. And general under editor. Change font size with scroll. There we go. Control plus mouse wheel, apply. There we go. That's much better. All right, I'm going to zoom in a lot here. Let me move that to the side. So the assignment is to change a subject matter of whatever you want. So I'm going to change the appearance of some cogs. Now, to really adventure into the source code, you can do it in one of two ways, and I've already shown both of the ways. So you can either look into each individual folder and browse all of the different .py files, which make up the code of the game. So if you want to edit something related to NPCs, you should probably take a look in the Toon folder, because you have all the NPC-related code here. If you want to change something related to cogs, you can probably look in the Suit folder, because most cog-related things are here. If you want to change something related to fishing, you can probably find it here. But there's also the TT Localizer English and Toontown Global files, which contain a lot of information. Localizer English pretty much contains all text you see displayed on the screen. That is where we change the Pick-a-Toon to play text. Pretty much all text in the entire game is in this file. So let me just change some cog stuff out as an example. So if I want to search just within this file, I can press Control F. Let me zoom in a bit more. So I'm going to change the level 1, 2, and 3 cogs. Why am I doing this? So we can easily test it out in Toontown Central. So let's search for Cold Caller. So we'll go to our first instance where Cold Caller is used. So this is a whisper that is sent to the Toon when the Cellbot surprise holiday happens. We don't want to change that. We don't really care about that. So you can just keep pressing enter and searching for the next occurrence until you find what you want. So that's something to do with Toon tasks and cold callers. But right here is where the actual cold caller is. So suit cold caller equals, and this is the name of the cold caller. So let's change the name. Let's call it Blue Guy. Let's change telemarketer to Angry Dude. Let's change name dropper to Pissy Cog.
And just to clear things up, that /x03 there, that's an escape character for hyphen, since you can't exactly type that directly. I mean, you could. I'm not sure why Disney did it that way, but
yes. So yeah, X0. Let me go back and show that again. It's to escape the hyphen, but they could have just done this. It could have just replaced like that.
Actually, I do know what that is for. That's a special escape character because it doesn't always want the hyphen. It only puts it on the sky, not the disguise page, but the cog gallery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it basically indicates that to create a hyphen on the cog gallery only.
Okay.
So that they don't have to create a custom value for it. Like if you look here, see where telemarketer is, it creates a hyphen and then breaks into a new line. That's all that escape character has. However, when you see a telemarketer in like on a street, it doesn't have that hyphen.
For now, you probably won't have to worry about that, but it is good to keep in mind. Let me change this name again to COG. All right, I'm going to change the name of the cache bots now. So let me just quickly change short chain to, oh my god, what is this name? Let's change Penny Pincher to Mr. Krabs. Let's change Tightwad to I am fat. Let me just quickly change the lawbot name. So bottom feeder. Let's just change his name to Trash. Bloodsucker. Let's change the name to Spooky. Double Talker. Let's change to Lawbot Two-Face. And finally, for boss spots. I think we have to scroll up for boss spots. So the Flunky, I cannot see correctly. The Pencil Pusher will be Pointy, and the Yesman will be Big Teeth. So we've changed the names of all the cogs, rank 1 to 3. But let's do something more than that. I think the amount of effort you should put into this assignment should be a bit more than just changing the names of stuff. So I'm going to change some other factors of these cogs. So because most cog-related code is in the suit folder, I'm going to open up suit folder, and I'm going to open up a file called suit.py. Okay. And if I scroll down, now you aren't expected to know where everything is, but you should probably just explore a lot for yourself, because exploring the Toontown source code will help you to get around it better. But yeah, I believe this function right here called generate suit is what makes each cog unique. So for example, this code that I've highlighted here decides what the Funky is going to consist of. So it decides what the Funky's height's going to be, his hand color, his scale, what kind of head he's going to have, etc. So let's change the Funky. Let's change his scale. So right now he's a 4.0 divided by some other number. Let's make him really big, like absolutely fucking huge. So let's change 4.0 to 7.0. That's all we're going to change about the Funky. Let's see. I'm not sure if this will work or not. Probably will. It might crunch. I don't know. But let's change the Pencil Pusher's head for the Yesman's head. Why? Because we can.
Actually, that's just going to cause an empty head. Yeah. Because this is on a version where the suit A, B, and C head models are all split into separate files.
Oh. Okay.
So you can only stick to heads of the similar type. So you can put like a mover and shaker head on them and then load a separate text.
That is a good idea. Okay, I will do that. Let me see right here. Let me scroll down to the mover and shaker code. Did I pass that? I don't know. Here we go. So mover and shaker. Generate head, mover, shaker. So let me just scroll up a lot to the Pencil Pusher and replace Pencil Pusher with mover, shaker. And let's make him really tiny. So let's set a scale to 1.75, just because. Yesman, let's keep him the same, except let's change his hands. So right now his hand color is Corp Polycolor, and what that probably stands for is boss spot color, because boss spots generally are referred to as Corp. So let's change it to legal polycolor, because that generally refers to lawbots. So let's copy and paste. So now the Yasmin's hand color should be a lawbot hand color.
Which is default. It defaults to blue.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically, these are just generic color enumerations for just default colors for each department. You can use them outside of their department, obviously, but it's just something to make the code look cleaner instead of having the same for quantity vector being used to define the color.
Yep. All right, so let's go scroll down and change the lawbots. So the bottom feeder, because he eats trash, he's really fat. So I'm going to change him to, but I'm not going to make him as big as the funky. I'm only going to make him a 6.0 instead. And let's also say screw it to making him look like a bottom feeder. Let's actually make him look like a tightwad. So right here you can see it forces the bottom feeder texture on his head. If we simply remove that, it'll make him look like a tightwad. So he's bigger and he looks like a tightwad instead. As for the bloodsucker, he has a custom hand color, which is white. But screw that. He's a fake vampire. Let's give him the actual Lawbot hand color instead. There we go. And just to make him feel worse with himself, let's make him a tad smaller and go to 3.375. For the double talker, what should we change about the double talker? Let's keep him the exact same, except to make him look like the Two-Face. So let's remove the texture override. He should look like a Two-Face now. Scroll down again, and we're at the short change this time. So the short change, well, he's supposed to be really short, but he's actually the same height as the normal cold caller. So screw that. Let's make him extremely small, like 1.2 in scale. And that should be it.
Little fun fact about the short change is that the cold caller head texture, the short change actually uses the regular head. The cold caller gets a color override that's manually set, which we're going to see in just a sec.
Oh, okay. And then this is the penny pincher. He has a custom color due to his head. So let's change that color. Now, I'm not going to really go into RGB values right now. But basically, if you just look up on Google RGB value, you can find like an RGB color picker, and it'll give you a value like out of 255. And this isn't out of 255, but it gives it in a 1.0 scale. So what you would do, for example, let me actually do this live. RGB color picker. So Google has one. Let's make the penny pincher's hands purple or pink. Okay, so right here, I've selected pink. It'll give me the RGB values. So in order to change that in the game, let me open the calculator. And so the first value is 235. So we would do 235 divided by 255. Now there's probably an easier way to do this, and actually there is. I'll show you that way instead. So let's just copy these. I personally use a calculator, but what you could do is paste these values here and then divide them by 255. And that'll make the penny pincher's hands like pink. The reason we're dividing by 255 is because this is like the RGB scale out of 255, but Toontown only wants you to refer to it as like a 1.0 scale.
Technically, you could also pre-compute it and then just put in the ratio there. That's another viable option for storing color.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the tightwad. Should we change about this tightwad? I'm going to make him a little bit bigger.
Oh, we could give him a corporator head texture.
That is an idea. All right, let me scroll down. There's corporator up here. What? Let me search for Raider. Oh, there we go. Copy his head texture and scroll down to the tightwad and give him the corporator texture. In that case, let's actually make him a little bit bigger than that. And finally, we're at the cold caller. And you're right, he does have a specific head color. So let's see what to make his head color. I'm just going to put in random values, honestly. Screw it. Let me change 3.5 to 8.5. Let me change 1.0 to 0.14. Let me change 0.25 to 0.35. And that'll screw up the cold color's head color. Let's make him a little bit bigger.
That'll actually probably look more short changes than the short change actually looks right.
Oh, did you calculate the color?
Yeah, it's more green than anything else, so.
All right, I'll change that down to 2, and I'll change this to like 9. There we go. It's different now. Telemarketer. Let's give the telemarketer Cashbot hands instead. Okay, and let's make him a very, very huge skinny cog. And finally, for name dropper, let's have her look like a number cruncher and remove that texture override. And let's change the scale. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Now, if you're wondering what set height is, from what I've recalled, that sets the height of the cog's name tag. So because we're messing with their heights, with their scale a lot, but we're not fixing their heights, their name tags are going to have a pretty weird scale. So if we were actually doing this to where we cared about a polished product, we'd probably also set the height properly. But now that I've changed all these, I think it's time to have a look at them in the game. So I'm going to run the game now. Great. All right, the game's starting up, and let's have a look at our creation. Oh, I need to make a tune first. All right, Wally, there we go. Skip tutorial. All right, and let's just go to, let's go to Silly Street. They have a good divide of all the cogs there. Are you shitting me? All right, next tune. What? Wait, did I not pull properly? No, I did pull. Wait, why is my stuff not working? I thought this was fixed.
It should be.
It said get no attribute, get transitioning. That's a bit
I
weird.
definitely fixed that, yeah.
Okay, let me try again. Maybe it'll magically work again. What? It's not working. Okay, that's a very weird. I am up to date. Wait, I don't think I merged my shit in. Wait, did
Oof.
I forgot. Hold on. No, it's up to date with master. Okay, whatever. I'm lazy to fix this now, so I'm actually going to go and talk to the HQ officer and do what it wants me to do. Cracking a joke, it depends what your code is. We can't help you fix it if we don't see what your code is. You probably did something wrong, though.
Yeah, if you're modifying text, make sure that you didn't break the quotes around it, because that'll cause an escape from the actual string.
All right, let me talk to the HQ officer. Yep, I'm going to go get that blackboard eraser.
Yeah, people asking about modifying skelecogs, that's a whole nother can of worms, because it uses the same model for each one, and then it just changes the scale based on whatever the scale is. That's all it does.
All right, let's have a look. Oh boy. This is
I mean,
gonna be
technically, you could generate a head on top of a skelecog, it just wouldn't look pretty.
So that's our Yesman with Lawbot hands, and he's called Big Teeth. Let's look at Pointy, which now has a mover and shaker head, and is very small. That was our pencil pusher before. Let's look at Trash, which is now a bottom feeder that has a tightwad head. It's much bigger. Let's have a look at some of the other cogs. Oh boy, okay, we have I think this is the telemarketer with the cashbot hands, and he's insanely huge now. The name tags are short because as I explained earlier, we did not change the height value of the cogs. We only changed the scale value. The height value is what determines the name tag. We have a trash again. Oh my god, what is this name? Really short change. It looks like he's running so fast. Yeah, Jeeper Pretzel, you can't divide by 0 in math. It just doesn't work, buddy. Oh, let's look at our spooky. I forgot what we changed about him.
What happened there, Jeeper, is that you actually defined a head that's not included in the head model types. What kind of head were you trying to put on the cog? What was the cog that you replaced for the Yesman head? That's why, because bottom feeder is a suit C, which is a fat cog type. It's not included in that series of heads. You can only switch out head models between cogs in a set series. So fat cogs can switch heads with fat cogs, skinny with skinny, buff with buff. You could use Gladhander instead of Yes Man. That would work fine. Also, if you define a head that is not defined, it'll also return the same error of division.
So yeah, so that was the example of the assignment. Pretty much what I did is what we're expecting for you guys to do. Obviously, you have to choose a different subject matter. So you can do something with tunes where maybe you change tune names and you change how tune looks, like maybe change Little Oldman's name and maybe make him a red dog instead of like a blue rabbit. Different things like that. You could go above and beyond and do some more stuff. One of the things I had in mind that I'm not going to do right now is change the attacks of the cogs. You'd have to really test a lot, because similar to making sure that the different cog heads match up, you would need to make sure that the body for each cog will work for each attack. So if I wanted to change out certain attacks between cogs, I can't just have a skinny cog do the same kind of animations as a fat cog would do. That just simply wouldn't work.
Yeah, you're getting into animation dictionaries and everything there.
Yeah, we don't want to worry about that for now. Obviously, we could eventually, as the lectures progress, learn how to deal with some of these issues. It is very possible, and it would be kind of simple to deal with the issues regarding the different heads. So maybe eventually we can teach everyone how to put a skinny cog head on a fat cog head, but we're not going to do that right now. But aside from that, unless there's any questions on the assignments, I think that just about concludes today's lecture. Hopefully you all had a good time. I apologize for all of the delays today. It was just a big hassle getting everything set up. How do you submit the assignment? You submit the assignment by committing your change to your branch. And let me just show you how to do that. So now that I've made these changes, if I open the GitHub app, sliding a little bit. Oh, it might be because oh yeah, I know why, because I made this somewhere else. Okay. Whoa, that's a lot. I won't worry about that for now. But basically, you're going to find your changes in this tab. You're going to want to check each single change that you want to commit. When you're ready to commit, you have to put a summary of what it is. Normally, the correct etiquette is like a one-word phrase about what it is, followed by a short description. So, for example,
you're on the master branch, by the way, just before you commit.
I'm not going to do it because I'm on a completely... I actually cloned this repository twice by accident when I was setting stuff up. But what you would do is abbreviate it with suit, and put a small description such as changed around a bunch of cog details. And then if you want, put a further description. And then you would press commit, and then you would push. And then that would be submitting your assignment. But you have to make sure that you do this on your branch and not anyone else's. Comrade, you're supposed to make your own branch if you haven't already.
Also, another rule of thumb when making commit names, try to make them informative so that somebody browsing through commit history, if they're searching for a bug, would get a general idea of what was happening at that time.
Yeah, so for example, if you're working on changing something with the VP battle, make sure you have the word VP in there, because if in 6 months the VP battle is all broken for some reason, you're going to want to look back to see, what the hell changed since it was working. And you might find that there's a commit that says changed how a certain algorithm worked in the VP calculating which tunes get damaged when he jumps. And you can think, oh shit, this must have broke it, and then just examine the commit and see what went wrong with it. So it's always good to be informative with your commit descriptions. Sketched, did you make your cog 100 scale or something?
Here's how not to make a commit name. I got a bunch of good ones here, so.
I've had a few people that used to work on offline. Yeah, some people that worked on offline would put slurs in their commit names, or like name it fuck this. Yeah, like you shouldn't name your commit name added the shit or anything like that. You should, name it properly. But yeah, if no one has any more questions, you're free to go. Thanks for attending today. If anyone needs to stick around for help because we weren't able to get you caught up anytime during the lecture, stick around. I'm free to help you for like the next 30 to 45 minutes. But for everyone else, I hope you guys have a good night and keep track of the announcements channel, and we'll update it with all sorts of stuff. The video will be posted to the videos channel within 2 days. The assignment will be posted in the assignments channel, so you're remembered of what to do. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say.
If you guys have any questions while working on the assignment, don't be afraid to ask us questions, because we're here to help.
Comrade, I have no idea. I probably should have thought of that before, because at the end I'm supposed to say what happens next week. I'm gonna figure that out.
Maybe some stuff with basic GUI?
Yes, that could work. You search Control-Shift-F can search the whole project. Or if you're in a specific file, it's just Control-F. Bye-bye. Alright, so Catapapa Lava, I can show you exactly what you need to do again.